Chapter 200, Azalea Town, a parting performance. Ash, I've received Jack's report, Professor Oak said with a broad smile, rubbing his hands together. You saw Kyogre, didn't you? Ash returned the heavy ball willingly. Professor Oak held it in his hand and practically glowed. We've already prepared your reward. When you come back, we'll have a big surprise waiting. Ash released the Pokémon he had been carrying, keeping only Pikachu and the Lapras that had just rejoined him, neither of which counted toward his party limit. The group had decided to part ways in Azalea Town, not far from their route, to bring a proper close to their time in Kanto. Princess Yao had chosen to travel on to Chengdu by herself to compete and grow. Having traveled so closely with Ash and progressed from a novice, she'd found her battling style becoming too similar to his and hit a plateau. She wanted to find her own path, and Ash fully supported her decision. Both of them wanted to make the most of the last moments they had together. After crossing a forest, they arrived at Azalea Town. Princess Yao and her brother would take a boat from the town's port back to the Hoenn region. This is where we part ways, Princess Yao said calmly. She felt a twinge of reluctance, but she knew they would meet again. Everyone had their own path to follow. Xiaozhi had been disappointed at first. He knew Princess Yao would be going on alone, and he couldn't continue traveling with them. But under Ash's guidance, he had come to understand. Soon he, too, would set out on his own journey and meet new partners and experiences. They bought boat tickets, but the boat wasn't leaving right away, so Ash and the others wandered through town. Azalea was alive with stalls and decorations, as if a festival were underway. Princess Yao suddenly pointed at a poster on the wall. Look, there's a gorgeous competition being held today. Ash peered at the flyer. It wasn't an official contest, just a special competition tied to the celebration. Princess Yao's eyes lit up. This looks fun. I want to enter. Me too, Ash agreed. They registered. Because the competition was privately organized, only 2 contestants passed the initial review. The judge for Azalea Town's contest was Nurse Joy, who greeted everyone with a warm smile. The winning coordinator will receive this Azalea Town medal, she announced, holding up an ornate medallion larger and more intricate than a ribbon badge. Competing coordinators, aim for the Azalea Town medal and do your best. The organizers already knew who they were. Princess Yao was slated to perform first and Ash to perform last. First up for the preliminary performances is Princess Yao, the host declared. She placed in the top 4 at both the Grand Festival and Quartz Conference. She's a fierce competitor, the host added. The crowd cheered as Princess Yao stepped onto the stage. Princess Yao! Princess Yao! She's really popular, Xiaozhi said, surprised. Reaching the top 4 in the Grand Festival is already impressive, his brother added with a smile. Princess Yao's partner was Eevee. Eevee dug several holes in the stage and launched shadow balls from each one. Finally, it leapt out of the center hole, holding a shadow ball, and tossed it into the air. The shadow balls hovered in perfect formation before exploding into brilliant fireworks. The host exclaimed, "What a performance! Truly gorgeous fireworks!" The other preliminary performances were less spectacular. Magikarp jumped from a water tank, a Charmeleon leapt through a ring of fire, so when the host announced the final performer, the crowd erupted. Last to perform is Ash, winner of the Grand Festival and the Quartz Conference, a true top coordinator. We're honored he's joining our gorgeous competition. Ash! 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 The audience chanted. Ash stepped forward with Pikachu at his side. Pikachu, I choose you. Pika! Pikachu leapt onto the stage. Quick attack, then thunderbolt. Pikachu raced in tight, high-speed circles, charging an electric ring as it dashed. Iron Tail! Pikachu slammed its iron-coated tail into the electric ring, sending it soaring. It repeated the maneuver several times, colliding rings across the stage that sparked and crackled. Now! Thunder! Pika! A huge, city-stopping thunderbolt descended, shattering the electric rings into flying arcs of electricity that formed a towering pillar like a thunder tree. The crowd rose to their feet in thunderous applause. Unsurprisingly, the 2 coordinators who qualified for the gorgeous 5-minute final were Ash and Princess Yao. On the stage, they faced each other. Let's give it our best, they called in unison. Blaziken, take the stage, Princess Yao shouted. I choose you, Lapras, Ash replied. Let's show Ash our strength, Princess Yao added, and she activated Mega Evolution. Super Blaziken flashed into form, heat and power radiating from it. The atmosphere crackled with excitement. Psybeam. Blaziken released a beam of psychic energy. Flamethrower. Lapras answered with a wall of fire. The two attacks collided and exploded in a dazzling display. Lapras summoned a massive surf, creating a wave that surged towards Super Blaziken. Use Flame Charge to break through, then Flame Kick, Princess Yao instructed. Blaziken burst through the wave shrouded in flames and struck with a blazing kick. Lapras countered with a devastating Hydro Pump. The two attacks smashed into each other in a steamy burst of vapor. Back and forth they went, evenly matched, their scores tied. Only 30 seconds remained. Ash smiled. Let's settle this, Princess Yao, sheer cold. No holding back, blast burn, she shouted. Lapras exhaled a freezing, blinding mist of sheer cold, while Super Blaziken gathered a raging blast burn. The two energies collided in a cataclysmic explosion at the center of the stage, sending both Pokémon skidding back to their trainers as the smoke cleared. Ding. Time's up. The host checked the screen, astonished. I can't believe it. The scores are exactly the same. That means... Nurse Joy stepped forward and finished. According to the rules, Ash and Princess Yao are both winners. They nodded at each other, satisfied. It was the best possible result. Then Nurse Joy hesitated, embarrassed. I'm sorry, we didn't expect a tie, so we only prepared one medal. Ash and Princess Yao exchanged looks. Then there's only one way, Princess Yao said with a grin. She tossed the single medal high into the air. Pikachu! Pikachu sprang into the arena, leaped up and struck the medallion with Iron Tail, cleaving it in two. Ash and Princess Yao each reached up and caught a half, shouting together, We both got the Azalea Town medal. To be continued. Chapter 201, Reuniting with Gary, Showdown with Electivire. At dusk, Xiaogang used up every ingredient he had to prepare a farewell meal. All right, everyone dig in, quickly. Xiao Yao and Xiao Sheng's boat is about to leave, he called. Wow, everything looks so delicious. Xiao Sheng cheered, and several others shouted, I'm going to eat. No sooner had they finished than the piercing blast of a passenger ship's whistle reached them. Xiao Yao snapped to attention. Ah, the departure time. Hurry. They rushed to the port. Just as the two were about to board, Xiao Yao turned and hugged Ash. Ash, goodbye. I'll catch up to you next time. I promise. Ash stroked her hair and smiled. I'll be waiting. Ash and Xiaogang waved them off as the ship pulled away. The farewell came to an end. The next morning, at the familiar crossroads, Ash grinned at Xiaogang. Say hi to everyone at Nibi Gym for me. They parted ways and headed home. Ash, Pikachu, and Eevee were walking toward Pallet Town when a familiar voice cut through the air. What are you doing messing with my Pokémon? Ash grinned and steered Pikachu and Eevee toward the commotion. As he'd guessed, it was Gary. Team Rocket had clearly been up to their usual tricks. They'd tried to ambush somebody and ended up tangling with Gary and his Electivire. Oh no, it's that trainer, him! Meowth cried out, surprised to see Gary. Gary barked orders. Electivire, Iron Tail! White light crackled along Electivire's twin tails. With a swing, it cut the net, trapping it to pieces, and then a thunderous bolt sent Team Rocket blasting off. Gary caught sight of Ash and turned. Long time no see, Ash. I heard you won the Hoenn League and conquered the Battle Frontier. You've been busy. Of course. Long time no see, Gary. Want to battle? Ash said, half joking. I'll fight you to the end. They assumed their old rivalry immediately, then laughed, shook hands, and walked side by side back toward Pallet Town. At Professor Oak's laboratory, they pushed through the door together. Professor Oak, I'm back, Ash called. Dr. Oak, are you there? Gary added. Professor Oak and Xiaozhan came out to greet them. Oak beamed at Ash, and without even trying to hide it, favored him openly. Ash, welcome, welcome. Gary's face darkened. Professor Oak, I'm your real grandson. Oh, come on, no contest. Ash is the one who's accomplished so much, Oak said, utterly unrepentant. Ash just grinned. Wait, I'll take you to see your reward after I'm done with something. Promise you'll be satisfied. What reward? Gary asked, curious. Where are my Pokémon? I want to battle Gary, Ash asked, turning to Oak. Professor Oak hesitated, then produced 2 Pokeballs. Use these for now. The others aren't here. Not here? Ash and Gary exchanged puzzled looks. It's not what you think. Explain later, Oak said, waving his hands. He handed the Pokeballs to Ash, who opened them. A Nidorino and a Venusaur sprang out and greeted him excitedly. I'll use Nidorino, Ash decided. Gary smirked. Ground type? This will be fun. Wait a second. Ash produced a high-grade moonstone and used it on Nidorino. A swirl of blue and white light enveloped the Pokémon, and when it faded, there stood a massive Nidoking. Nidoking, type ground poison, ability sheer force, strength gym late stage, moves super horn attack, earthquake, sludge bomb. Starting now, it's Ash's Nidoking versus Gary's Electivire, Xiaozhi announced as referee. Electivire, an evolved form of Electabuzz, was fearsome, and in the Sinnoh region, Gary had clearly focused on training it. Its strength reached elite level. Even with the type advantage, Nidoking faced a serious challenge. Earthquake, Ash ordered. Nidoking slammed the ground. A ripple of earth surged toward Electivire. Dodge, Gary called calmly. Electivire sprang up, using its tails to propel itself out of the quake's path. Iron Tail, Gary shouted next. White light flared as Electivire lashed its tails. Counter with Super Horn attack, Ash barked. Nidoking charged head-on, and the two clashed with a thunderous impact. Hey, are they fighting? A girl's voice said. Ash glanced back and saw Xiaozhi, Delia, and Professor Oak approaching. Ash didn't greet them. He was focused on the duel. The three stopped and watched in silence. This was their anticipated rivalry match. Earth Power, Ash ordered. Nidoking gathered energy and hurled it at Electivire. Protect, Gary called. A shimmering green barrier popped up in front of Electivire, blocking the blast. Now, Ice Punch, Gary ordered. Electivire slammed its fists together. Icy energy formed, and it lunged at Nidoking. Double Edge, Ash countered. Nidoking threw caution to the wind and charged, ignoring recoil. Boom. Both Pokémon were sent reeling back. Ash pressed the attack. Sludge Bomb. Nidoking hurled a glob of toxic sludge. Gary reflexively put up Protect again, exactly as Ash had hoped. The shield absorbed the sludge, but that left Electivire vulnerable. Earth Power, Ash shouted. Nidoking's earth energy smashed through the weakened Protect and struck Electivire full force. Electivire staggered, then collapsed. Electivire is unable to battle. Nidoking wins, Xiaozhi declared. The winner is Ash. You were amazing, Nidoking, Ash praised, smiling as he recalled his Pokémon. Mom, Xiaozhi, I'm home. Ash turned and called out. Delia said nothing, but Xiaozhi stepped forward and tugged at Ash's hand, half scolding. You went to Professor Oak's lab instead of coming straight home. Ash scratched his head sheepishly. I was going to, but then I ran into Gary. Gary folded his arms and snorted. Don't blame me. You were the one itching for a fight. Professor Oak stepped up, smiling. All right, everyone's here. Come on. Let me show you Ash's reward. They followed Oak with curious, expectant faces. To be continued. Chapter 202, Icefire Island. Setting off for the Sinnoh region. Under Professor Oak's guidance, Ash arrived at a port near Pallet Town and boarded a speedboat. It wasn't a long trip, about 30 minutes, before everyone disembarked onto a huge island. The island was strange and a little ruined. The most striking features were the Ice Mountain on one side and Mount Coronet on the other. Between them, the center was a dense forest. The north was open grassland. The south was a rugged stone forest. There were hardly any wild Pokémon here, and the only building was a Pokémon Center in the central area. All the Pokémon living on the island belonged to Ash. No wonder Professor Oak had said Ash's Pokémon weren't at his lab. Ash stared in disbelief. Professor Oak, what's going on? This island was actually created because of Groudon, Professor Oak explained. Originally, there was only a small Mount Coronet here. Groudon flew into these waters, found the mountain, and created this island. Since your Groudon did it, and because of your accomplishments, the League gave this sea area to you. Ash blinked. My Groudon can fly? Cough. No idea. Ash said awkwardly. Maybe it was born that way. Oak waved a hand. In any case, the Ranger Union and the Kanto League helped renovate the island. The League even provided a Pokémon Center and Nurse Joy. Aside from Mount Coronet, everything else was transplanted by the League, so the island now has many different terrains suitable for all kinds of Pokémon. To make switching easier, speakers were installed across the island so your Pokémon will know when you need them and can change in an instant. In short, this island belongs to you. Any Pokémon you catch in the future will be sent here, and the League will provide resources for raising them. A collective gasp spread through the group. Ash, Gary, and the others. Delia beamed with pride. Her son had become successful enough to own an island at such a young age. Under Oak's guidance, they went to meet Ash's Pokémon scattered across the island. On Mount Coronet, Groudon waited. Articuno perched on the snowy peak. Rayquaza prowled the stone forest. Kyogre patrolled the surrounding sea. Gary was stunned. Ash had changed a lot in just over a year. When they reached the central forest, Celebi flew out and everyone's eyes widened. Gary was speechless. Ash had even caught a Celebi. And when he saw Aerodactyl, Gary's face lit up. His research focused on fossil Pokémon, and he had never expected to see a living Aerodactyl. After being cared for by Professor Oak, Aerodactyl had recovered to its peak performance, but the source of its old elite-level power couldn't be restored by anyone else. That could only come from Aerodactyl itself. Hearing this, Gary immediately asked to borrow Aerodactyl and promised to help it rebuild its strength. Celebi fluttered happily through the forest and grassland. The transplanted flowers, plants, and trees grew rapidly, filling the island with life as if they had always been there. Because the residential buildings weren't finished and the island was close to Pallet Town, everyone returned to town. They gathered at Ash's house for a meal, and the next day, Gary left for Sinnoh with Aerodactyl. Ash stayed for 2 more days with Delia and Xiaozhi before deciding it was time to head to the Sinnoh region. Since Mount Coronet and the snowy peak were the island's most noticeable features, Ash named it Icefire Island. Delia, Xiaozhi, and Professor Oak would supervise the island's construction while Ash traveled. He chose the team that would go with him to Sinnoh: Pikachu, Eevee, Lucario, Marshadow, Ipom, Growlithe, and Shelgon. Celebi liked Icefire Island so much it chose to stay and explore. After all, staying inside a Pokeball can be boring. It would return to its GS ball to train more once it had enough fun. Shelgon had reached the pinnacle of its training and was on the verge of evolving into Salamence. Over the past 2 days, Ash had also used 2 rare candies on Tyranitar and Pidgeot, bolstering his cadre of elite Pokémon. Now fully equipped with new gear, Delia had prepared. Ash stood ready in front of Professor Oak's lab. Oak handed him a brand new Pokédex and said, "This is my farewell gift. The Sinnoh region Pokémon data has already been entered. When you arrive in Sinnoh, look up Dr. Shanley." Delia smiled and waved. "Have a tailwind trip," she called, and Ash waved back to Pikachu and Eevee before boarding the passenger ship bound for the Sinnoh region. A new region and a new adventure awaited. The Team Rocket trio were on the ship too, of course, but Ash was too busy to bother with them. To be continued. Opening Sinnoh. I originally planned to write another movie, Our Story, before starting Sinnoh, but The Prince of the Sea only finished recently, and running 2 movies back-to-back didn't feel right, so I decided to open Sinnoh first. I'll write Our Story later. Thanks to Banaji Links for the great support. Chapter 203, Dawn, Shanley Research Institute, Sinnoh Region, Twinleaf Town. The sun had just risen when an alarm clock rang. A young girl sat up and fumbled for the starly-shaped alarm until it clicked off. She crossed to the window, pushed it open, and drank in the morning view, crisp air and clear skies, and felt instantly refreshed. Her name was Dawn, a new trainer about to begin her journey. Today was the day. After washing up and getting ready, her mother called from outside her door. "Dawn, are you awake?" "I've been awake for ages," Dawn called back. The door opened with a soft creak. Ayako stood there, a Glameow weaving around her ankles. "Good morning. It's rare to see you up so early." Dawn put her hands on her hips. "It should be, I'm always up early." They went downstairs for breakfast. Dawn paused in the living room to look at the ribbons and awards Ayako had earned as a top coordinator. She met her mother's eyes and declared, "I'll become a top coordinator, just like you, Mom." Ayako handed Dawn the backpack she'd packed and a postcard from the Shanley Research Institute. She also pressed an old ribbon badge into Dawn's palm, their family's good luck charm. "Thank you, Mom," Dawn said, hugging her before bouncing to her bicycle. "I'm off." The Shanley Research Institute is out by Sanjem Town. Do you know how to get there? Ayako asked, worried. No problem, Dawn said cheerfully as she pedaled away. The postcard has a detailed map. Ayako rubbed her forehead as she watched Dawn ride off. Whenever she says no problem, that's when she gets into the most trouble. Sure enough, Dawn circled Sanjem Town several times and still couldn't find the institute. She was lucky, though. she ran into Dr. Shanley himself, who guided her to the Shanley Research Institute. When they arrived, a small mishap came to light. The starter Piplup and Chimchar had dashed into the forest behind the lab, leaving only a clumsy Turtwig waiting nervously. Dawn's eyes lit up. "Doctor, let me go find them. They might be my companions." Dr. Shanley smiled approvingly. "If you meet a Pokémon, crouch down and talk at their level. They'll be less likely to be on guard." "Thanks for the tip," Dawn said. Despite Dr. Shanley's serious face, she found him kind and gentle. In the trees, she first spotted Chimchar perched in a branch. Piplup suddenly zipped past and fired a bubble beam, which Chimchar nimbly dodged, and the pair bolted deeper into the undergrowth. Dawn's bond with Piplup began in earnest when she found the little water type tangled in a spider web. She freed Piplup, but in the scramble, she tumbled down a slope and landed in a clearing surrounded by Ariados. Piplup bristled, ready to defend her. "Piplup!" it chirped, stepping forward to block them. "Growlithe! Flamethrower!" a deep voice called. An orange tongue of flame licked through the clearing, scattering the Ariados and ending the threat. Dawn whirled to thank her rescuer and froze. "Ah, you're Ash!" she blurted. Ash had arrived in Sinnoh by passenger ship and gone straight to visit Dr. Shanley. He'd only just entered the forest when the commotion reached him. He smiled, a little surprised to be recognized. "You know me?" "Of course." Dawn grabbed his hand in admiration. "You're the winner of the Hoenn and Kanto Grand Festivals, a top coordinator trainer." Ash chuckled, a little embarrassed by the praise. "Is that so?" "Hello, I'm Dawn. I'm a new trainer starting today. I want to be a top coordinator," she said, beaming. "I've watched all your gorgeous competitions. You never lose." Ash suppressed a grin. He'd only just reached Sinnoh and already had a fangirl. Dawn's bold, that eager presence reminded him of someone. She was already being called the Sinnoh Princess by the locals. "My name's Ash. Nice to meet you," he said. "Pika, Eevee." "Woof!" Pikachu, Eevee, and the Growlithe at Ash's side greeted her as well. Dawn's eyes widened at Eevee. "Eevee, your debut partner. That's so cool." Eevee scratched its head, surprised and pleased to be noticed so quickly. When Ash mentioned he was also heading to the Shanley Research Institute, they walked together, Dawn cradling Piplup and chatting happily. A breeze carried them along until they found themselves at the edge of Lake Verity. Mist rolled over the water, stirred by the wind, and a pale, translucent figure appeared above the surface. "Mesprit?" Dawn whispered. Marshadow, who had been peeking out from the darker shapes of Ash's shadow, stole a quick look at the figure before diving back into Ash's silhouette. The apparition faded as quickly as it had appeared. Ash murmured, "Mesprit, I don't think it's here for me. Probably for you." On the walk back to the Institute, Ash told Dawn about Mesprit and its companions, Uxie and Azelf, famous legendary Pokémon said to be tied to the region's lakes. Meanwhile, Staraptor had already tracked down Chimchar and brought it back to the lab. When they told Dr. Shanley about the sighting at Lake Verity, he nodded thoughtfully. He'd heard the rumors about Mesprit living there and promised to investigate. Dr. Shanley was particularly enthusiastic to meet Ash. He'd heard from Professor Oak that Ash had bonds with more than one legendary Pokémon, and seeing the trainer in person only confirmed the man's exceptional presence. After a few polite words, Dr. Shanley turned to Dawn with a warm smile. "All right, Dawn, those little accidents aside, everything's settled. Now choose one of these 3 starter Pokémon." Before her stood Chimchar, the fiery fire type, Piplup, the proud water type, and Turtwig, the steady grass type. Dawn didn't hesitate. She smiled and reached out. "I've already decided. I choose Piplup." "Piplup!" The water type puffed out its chest in pride and gave a self-satisfied pat. Chimchar stared in shock at the choice, while Turtwig just blinked serenely. To be continued. Chapter 204, Xiaogang returns. Capturing Starly, Xiaoguang received her beginner's gear, a Pokédex, and 5 Pokéballs. "Ash, there's going to be a gorgeous competition in Jubilife City, not far from Sangem Town. You're going to enter, right?" she asked, holding Poplio and stepping forward. Ash unfolded a travel brochure and checked the map, something Xiaogang normally handled, but today Ash had to do it himself. "I'm mainly focusing on gym challenges," he said. "If there's a gorgeous competition along the way, I'll take part." Jubilife City. Ash traced the route on the map. "Got it. The first gym's in Orberg, and we pass through Jubilife on the way." "That's perfect." Xiao Guang cheered. Then let's travel together, Ash. No problem, the more the merrier. Ash readily agreed, and Pikachu and Eevee chimed in with energetic nods. That works. Ash, as a senior, you can help out, Dr. Shanley approached. You can leave your bicycle with me for now. I'll arrange to have it sent back home. Really? Thank you, Dr. Shanley, Xiao Guang said gratefully. As she thanked him, Ash and Pikachu quietly took a few steps backward toward the bike. Ash didn't want to risk leaving it where Pikachu might accidentally, again, do something to it. Pikachu's reputation for wrecking bicycles was well known. When Xiao Guang looked at them puzzled and asked what was wrong, they both just shook their heads. Better not to bring up the bike breaker title. After a friendly goodbye to Dr. Shanley, Ash and Xiao Guang set off toward Jubilife City. Along the way, they ran into Xiao Gang. He'd taken Miss Tiger May's truck from Pewter all the way to Sinnoh, hoping for a happy ending with her, only to find out she already had a boyfriend. The woman simply handed Xiao Gang over to the two of them and drove away. Xiao Gang went utterly still, while his Spinda, clutching him, smiled on as if nothing had happened. Is he okay? Xiao Guang asked Ash quietly. Ash waved a hand. Don't worry, he's been through this before. He'll snap out of it. Sure enough, Xiao Gang soon recovered his spirit. Come on, Ash, I'm going to reach the top as a Pokémon breeder. With that, their Sinnoh travel group was complete. Xiao Gang had only brought 2 Pokémon with him into Sinnoh, Sudowoodo and Spinda. Meanwhile, the Team Rocket trio had made it to Kojiro's villa and recruited Carnivine as another addition to their team. Ook! Ipom, always restless, sprang from its Pokeball and scampered through the trees, chattering. Xiao Guang was bubbling with excitement, Poplio tucked in her arms. Poplio, do you know what trainers do first when they start a journey? Of course, catch Pokémon. Ash and Xiao Gang exchanged a helpless smile at her enthusiasm. Then a bird cry and a sharp ook rang through the trees. Looking up, they saw Ipom arguing with a Starly perched on a branch. Ash's eyes lit up. There was the obligatory first region bird, delivered right to his doorstep. Ipom, get ready! We'll catch it! Ipom, it replied, assuming a battle stance and taunting the Starly. The Starly, provoked, flapped its wings and unleashed a fierce gust. Ipom, swift! Ipom sprang up, flicked its tail and sent out shimmering stars to meet the wind. Stars and gust collided in a small mid-air explosion that filled the area with smoke. Thunder Punch! During the days at Professor Oak's lab, Ash had put Ipom through special training, focused on developing its trio of punching techniques. Ipom was talented, if a bit hyperactive, and it had managed to master Thunder Punch to an impressive level. Using its tail for momentum, it broke through the smoke and hovered above the Starly as crackling electricity gathered in its hand. The Starly countered with a gleam of white light, meeting the attack head-on. Aerial Ace, Ash suggested. Then try this, Focus Punch, Ash called. Ipom, it answered. White light burst from Ipom's fist, boosting its power dramatically, and the blow sent the Starly crashing to the ground. Seizing the moment, Ash threw a Pokeball, and the ball clicked shut, successfully capturing the bird. Gender, male. Type normal flying. Ability, keen eye strength, elite, mid-stage moves. Aerial Ace, quick attack, wing attack, double team, hurricane, Dynamax type flying. Ash checked the Pokedex readout and nodded with satisfaction. It was tradition. The first catch in a new region was often a little bird like this. This Starly was already close to evolving, and its final form, Staraptor, with that fierce, spiky crest, would make a handsome addition to the team. Yay! Xiao Guang cheered when she saw Ash catch the Starly. Congratulations, Ash! Inspired, Xiao Guang hurried to find a Pokemon to catch herself. She spotted an adorable Buniri and immediately sent out Poplio. Poplio, Bubble Beam! Poplioed, and a stream of bubbles shot forward. Buniri nimbly leaped behind Poplio, avoiding the attack. Poplio, it's behind you. Use Peck. Poplio swung its beak, and a flash of white light shot toward Buniri, which easily dodged and then landed 2 solid punches that sent Poplio tumbling. The Buniri bounded into the grass and disappeared. Xiao Guang's first attempt ended in failure. She and Poplio both bowed their heads in disappointment. Ash and Xiao Gang moved to comfort her, but Xiao Guang quickly brightened. It's okay. Everyone fails the first time. Ash and Xiao Gang stared at her in surprise. Her optimism was uncanny. Within moments, she was back to full cheer, and the 3 continued on. Suddenly, flashes of electricity skittered through the jungle, scattering a flock of starly above them. The three looked up and saw a purple-haired young man, about Ash's age, using an elekid to zap the birds, electrotherapy of a sort. Several starly were struck and plummeted, stunned and unable to resist. Without hesitation, the young man threw 3 Pokeballs at once, capturing 3 of the fallen starly. To be continued. Chapter 215, Rival Shinji appears. 3-on-3 battle. The purple-haired young man picked up 3 Pokeballs, checked his Pokedex, and examined each one. This one already knows Aerial Ace? I'll give it a try. With that, he recalled 1 starly and released the other 2. Dawn blinked in confusion. Since he'd already caught them, why release the extras? Brock opened his mouth to argue, but Ash stopped him with a shake of his head. What the young man had done wasn't necessarily wrong. A trainer's job is to find Pokémon with potential. Not everyone has a shortcut like Ash. Compared with trainers who bond with a Pokémon and then abandon it later, this young man was simply selecting Pokémon with promise. Releasing duplicates to find the best wasn't cruel, it was practical. Ash understood that, but he didn't approve of the approach. Your Pikachu and Eevee look strong, but it's a pity they haven't evolved, the young man remarked, eyes flicking to Ash. Then he noticed Ash's group up close and stepped forward. I'm Shinji from Veilstone City. Want to have a battle? How could Ash pass up a battle offered so readily? How about 3-on-3? Shinji suggested. Ash agreed. The two moved to an open clearing in the forest and took their places opposite one another. Brock stood between them as referee, explained the rules briefly, and signaled the start. Dawn's big blue eyes sparkled with excitement. She cheered for Ash beside her Poplio. I choose you, Starly. All right, get ready. Go, Starly. Both Ash and Shinji sent out their newly caught Starly. Each bird had excellent potential, and both already knew Aerial Ace. Use Aerial Ace, Shinji barked the first command. Then use Wing Attack, Ash replied. Shinji's Starly shimmered with power while Ash's Starly's wings glowed. The two birds dove at each other, colliding in midair. Shinji sneered. Double team, then Aerial Ace. Shinji's Starly split into multiple images and several Starly rushed in with Aerial Ace. Ash stayed calm. Hurricane. Ash's Starly beat its wings with all its might. A powerful gust tore through the clearing and scattered the clones. The attacking Aerial Aces lost momentum in the wind. Ride the wind and strike with Aerial Ace, Ash ordered immediately. Ash's Starly used the tailwind's gust to gain speed, cutting through the weakened attackers and slamming into Shinji's Starly. Now! Wing attack! Finish it! With its light-covered wings, it struck twice. Shinji's Starly tumbled and collapsed, unable to continue. Yay, Ash won! Dawn cheered, glaring at the poker-faced Shinji as he called his Starly back. Is that all you've got? Shinji snorted. Ash frowned. Even if you catch Pokémon with potential, a trainer's job is to turn that potential into power, he said. A battle tests more than a Pokémon's raw stats. It tests a trainer's commands. Your Starly didn't lose because it was weak. You just didn't make the best of it. Shinji was silent. He'd lost, and a man who believed in strength didn't argue with defeat. He sent out his second Pokeball. Go, Chimchar! A Sinnoh Fire-type starter. Ash recalled his Starly at once and threw out another ball. I choose you, Ipom. Ipom. Shinji was cautious now and struck first. Ember. Chimchar spat several flaming spheres toward Ipom. Swift, Ash ordered. Ipom's tail flicked and summoned a shower of star-shaped projectiles that snuffed out the embers and then hammered Chimchar. Shinji didn't flinch. He let Chimchar take the hits. Scratch! Chimchar's hands lit up with white claws as it lunged at Ipom. Thunder Punch! Ipom's fist crackled with electricity to meet it. Just as Chimchar closed in, Shinji changed tactics. Flame Wheel! Chimchar ignited and rolled forward like a fiery wheel. Dodge, then Focus Punch! Ash called. Ipom watched the wheel and smoothly sidestepped. Chimchar's flame wheel dissipated. It skidded to a stop, confused. Shinji's face darkened. Above it! But it was too late. Ipom's fist descended from above with brutal force and sent Chimchar flying. Chimchar crashed to the ground, unable to battle. Shinji recalled it, clearly displeased. Elekid, get out here! This Elekid was strong, the kind of Pokemon Shinji intended to train as a priority. Come back, Ipom, Ash called and tossed another Pokeball. I choose you, Growlithe. Growlithe bounded out, and its Intimidate made Elekid hesitate and take a half step back. Shinji's expression hardened. Use thunder. Elekid spun its arms and fired a bolt of electricity down at Growlithe. Dig, Ash ordered. Growlithe disappeared into the earth, and the thunderbolt hit nothing. Watch your surroundings, Shinji warned. Elekid and Shinji scanned the clearing, expecting a sneak attack. When Growlithe burst out from under Elekid's feet, the electric type lost its balance. Growlithe bit it hard. Shinji barked, Thunderbolt! A crackling blast erupted, and Elekid staggered back to Shinji, clutching an injured right arm from Growlithe's bite. Growlithe also retreated to Ash, sparks still dancing across its fur, clearly not unharmed, but still ready. Ash nodded. Shinji's reaction speed was impressive, but Growlithe wasn't easily taken down. Flame Vortex! Growlithe hurled a swirling ring of fire toward Elekid. Protect! Elekid raised a green barrier, and the vortex slammed into it, blocked. Flame Wheel! Ash shouted. Growlithe ignited, becoming another fiery wheel and charged. Shinji ordered quickly, Thunder Punch! Elekid swung, sending electricity through its arm to meet Growlithe's wheel. But the punch came from its left side and couldn't fully counter the burning onslaught. It was knocked away and staggered. Finish it with Flamethrower! Woof! Growlithe belched a cone of orange flame that engulfed Elekid. The electric type collapsed, unable to battle. Elekid is unable to battle. Growlithe wins, Brock announced. The victor is Ash. As Growlithe's battle ended, experience poured into it and it leveled up. Dawn jumped up and down. Oh yeah, Ash is amazing! Shinji stood for a moment, thinking, then recalled Elekid and tossed out a Pokeball, releasing the Starly he had kept. Next time we meet, I won't lose again, he said and turned to leave. You jerk! Dawn fumed as Shinji walked away. He was infuriating. Ash shook his head. Shinji was like a video game player. You kept catching a large number of Pokemon and choosing only the best to train. In games, they're just data, but here they were living creatures, and Ash couldn't fully approve of that cold approach. Still, people had different philosophies, and the League had no rule against it. Ash couldn't control someone else's choices. Seeing Dawn so upset, he tried to soothe her. Don't be mad. He might just be that kind of person. And compared to trainers who abandon a Pokemon over the smallest mistake, he's done a better job. At least he's not cruel to them later. But I haven't even caught a Pokemon yet, Dawn said sourly. He'd released a bunch already, and she was still trying to catch her first. Ash and Brock exchanged helpless smiles. To be continued. Chapter 206, The Bard Xiaozhi Appears. Xiaozhi's group was walking along when a soft, melodious piece of music drifted to them, calming and pleasant. They followed the sound and found a young man leaning against a tree, casually playing a harp whose carving was a tiny mew. Hello, I'm sorry to intrude. The young man set the harp down and bowed politely. I'm a Pokemon bard, Xiaozhi. I'm traveling to sing the praises of the Pokemon world with my Budo. The group smiled and introduced themselves. Xiaoguang examined Xiaozhi's Budo closely and, thinking about training, decided it would be a good first opponent. Its level looked fairly low. Xiaozhi, would you like to have a battle with me? Xiaozhi returned a gentle smile. I'd be pleased. Ash and Xiaogang watched in quiet amusement. After all, everyone has a first time. Xiaozhi turned a little toward Ash. Mr. Xiaozhi, may I ask, are you heading to the Sinnoh League competition? Xiaoguang shook her head and answered honestly. No, I'm aiming for the Grand Festival. Oh, Xiaozhi's eyes brightened. Then we'll do this in the gorgeous competition style. As for a venue, there's a perfect spot up ahead. He led them forward to a small open clearing. With coordinator Ash agreeing to judge, the match was set. Xiaozhi was intrigued when he heard that Ash had experience in both gorgeous competitions and gym battles. Ash had won at both. Xiaoguang, eager, took out her Pokeball. If it's gorgeous competition style, the entrance needs to be flashy. Piplup, make a charming entrance. Piplup popped out obediently, but as had happened before, it didn't strike any great pose. Xiaoguang could only do an elegant pose herself, while Piplup simply appeared. With Water-type Piplup facing Grass-type Budo, the odds were stacked against her. You may go first, Xiaozhi said, holding his harp with an air of elegance. Xiaoguang nodded, remembering type matchups. Okay, since it's Grass-type, Flying-type moves will be best. Piplup, use Peck. Piplup. Piplup darted forward, beak aimed. Evade, Xiaozhi called calmly. Budo moved with sharp reflexes, leaping aside. Bullet Seed, Bullets of seed shot through the air. As a grass-type move, they were super effective against Piplup. Xiaoguang yelled for Piplup to dodge, and the little penguin managed, but Budu took advantage of the moment to cast Sunny Day. Xiaoguang recovered quickly. Now, Bubble Beam, Piplup! Piplup unleashed a stream of shimmering bubbles and struck Budu while it was airborne. But grass resists water, and the attack didn't do much. Budu used the splashing water and the sunshine to accentuate its movements, then landed nimbly. Solar Beam. Xiaoguang had hoped to attack while Solar Beam was charging, but Sunny Day had eliminated the charge. Budu fired the beam instantly. Piplup was hit hard and was unable to continue. That was a fine match, Miss Xiaoguang, Xiangji said encouragingly. You didn't look like a beginner at all. Flushed with pride at the compliment, Xiaoguang brightened. Really? Thank you, Xiangji. Xiangji turned to Ash. Mr. Xiaozhi, I've always been drawn to both gorgeous competitions and gym battles, but I'm not sure how to balance them. How do you manage? Let's have a battle, Ash replied with a smile, pulling out a Pokeball. You'll see. Xiangji returned the smile. Then please show me. Both trainers readied their Pokemon. Xiangji sent out Budu. Ash chose Ipom. Mega Drain, Xiangji commanded. A green beam flowed from Budu into Ipom, draining energy. Ash hadn't dodged. The attack landed, causing Ipom to cry out and Budu to recover the energy it had expended earlier. Ash countered. Thunder Punch, then Swift. Ipom surged forward. Golden sparks crackled around its fist. It released an electrically charged Swift, a shower of star-like projectiles enhanced by the electricity. Xiaoguang watched with wide eyes. Beautiful. Electricity makes Swift faster and stronger, Xiaogang added, analyzing from the side. Xiangji understood and nodded. I see, Ash. Thank you. He smiled and returned to his strategy. Budu, Bullet Seed. Budu's seeds flew at Ipom, but the electrically powered Swift cut through them and struck Budu. At that moment, a pale blue-white light swelled around Budu, an evolution. When the light faded, Roselia stood in its place, its red and blue flowers newly blooming. Amazing! So that was evolution, Xiaoguang exclaimed. Now things are getting interesting. Xiangji said, Roselia, Sunny Day. Roselia raised its flowers to the sky and intensified the sunlight. Then Solar Beam. Roselia sent a blazing white beam toward Ipom. Ash's Ipom responded with double team, scattering several mirror images around itself, then slipped through them to land a clean focus punch on Roselia, knocking it out. Xiangji smiled, recalled Roselia, and bowed slightly. Mr. Xiaoji, I'll train to compete in both gorgeous competitions and gym matches, just like you. Thank you for your guidance. After bidding farewell to the bard Xiangji, Xiaoji's group made their way to a nearby Pokémon Center in the forest to rest for the night. At the desk, Ash and Xiaogang greeted Xiaoguang's mother, Ayako, who was on the phone. Hello, Auntie, they said in unison. Hello, Ash Xiaogang! Ayako's voice was warm. I'm leaving Xiaoguang in your care. She might give you a hard time. Ash, your gorgeous competition was wonderful. You've put my mind at ease. Oh, stop it. Really, Xiaoguang protested. Ayako gave a serious piece of advice. Ash, remember this. When Xiaoguang says she's fine, that's when she's most likely to be trouble. Ash and Xiaogang nodded, clearly noting the warning. Xiaoguang huffed but couldn't hide a small smile. Goodbye for now. Have a safe journey, Ayako said, then hung up the phone. Mom, Xiaoguang complained, but Ash just grinned. All right. She's looking out for you. Later, once they had settled in, Ash went to the reception desk and registered for the Sinnoh League Alliance Conference. To be continued. Chapter 207. Team Rocket changes their lines again. Turtwig appears. Early the next morning, Ash and his group were walking through the forest toward Jubilife City. Xiaoguang had tried and failed several times to catch Pokémon along the way. She lost battle after battle, but refused to give up, and with every setback, she and Piplup grew better at working together. Suddenly, a blue flash lit up near Ash. Pikachu, Eevee, Irontail, he called. Two metallic arms shot out from nearby, and Pikachu and Eevee leaped up, their iron tails clashing with the mechanical limbs. A voice from above sneered, As expected, it failed. Meow! Everyone looked up. A Meowth-shaped hot air balloon hovered overhead. Team Rocket. Again, it's Team Rocket, Xiaoguang groaned. Of course they were here, still after Pikachu. Team Rocket? Who's Team Rocket? Xiaoguang asked, genuinely puzzled. Young lady, we're not who, Jessie snapped. then paused and frowned as if she'd heard something wrong. Humph, I heard us described as who? We came at the speed of light, James announced. Oh, wind, Jessie chimed. Oh, earth, James added. Oh, sky, meow, Meowth crooned. Jessie continued, let's deliver danger to the whole world, James finished, and spread crisis across the universe. Jessie went on, whether angel or demon when that name is called. James, melodramatically, a charming sound that makes anyone who hears it tremble. Jessie, James, I am Meowth, Meowth, Meowth declared. We are the heroes of our time. Jessie boomed. We are invincible, James added. The trio shouted in unison, Team Rocket, blast off again. Wobbuff, Mime Jr., Ash, Pikachu, and Eevee all covered their faces, listening helplessly to Team Rocket's new, painfully earnest intro. Xiaoguang watched with wide-eyed curiosity. Did you hear that? We are the invincible Team Rocket, Jessie crowed. I didn't understand, Xiaoguang admitted with an awkward laugh. But Meowth can actually talk, like Lucario's telepathy? Ash stepped forward with a resigned expression. They're just 3 idiots who never catch Pikachu. Meowth didn't get telepathy. He learned to speak human language on his own. That's amazing, Xiaoguang said. But you can't just steal other people's Pokémon, you 3 villains. This new version is too long, Ash complained. Pikachu and Eevee nodded in agreement. Satoshi, what are you saying? We worked hard on this, James protested. He tossed a Pokeball in annoyance. Go, Carnivine! A Carnivine burst out of the ball, but instead of obeying, it snapped at James and bit him on the head. Ow there! Another partner? James sure is popular with Pokemon, Ash exclaimed. Pikachu, Eevee, he called. Pika! Eevee! Pikachu summoned a surge of electricity, while Eevee released a flurry of star-shaped energy. The combined attack struck the charging Carnivine, knocking it back. The blast flicked up and hit Team Rocket's hot air balloon. The whole thing sputtered and exploded. How infuriating, Jessie cried. Wobbuffet! Mime Jr.? Rustling in the grass cut them off. Ah! Xiaoguang yelped and ducked behind Ash, clutching his shoulder while peeking out. Ash concentrated his aura. Something moved in the grass. A small Sinnoh starter Pokemon pushed its way out. A Turtwig. Its eyes blazed with fierce determination. Ash's face lit up. Most grass-type Pokemon tend to be calm, but Turtwig's spirited stare told him they would make a good team. Turtwig, battle for capture, he called. Turtwig looked ready to accept when a commotion came from a nearby tree. Up above, a Mankey and a Geodude were arguing over some berries. Without hesitation, Turtwig clambered up, pinned both squabbling Pokemon to the branch, and gently scolded them until peace returned. Then it gathered the berries and set them aside. Ash and the others watched, astonished. This Turtwig was full of energy and very responsible, exactly the kind of partner Ash liked. A kind-faced old woman approached, smiling. Turtwig bounded over and clamped its mouth around her sleeve in greeting. The woman seemed used to it and casually deflected the nuzzle with a stick. Nice to meet you. My name is Granny Xingnai, she said, holding Turtwig easily in her arms. She's my good friend. Good friend, the others echoed. Then they all introduced themselves. Granny Xingnai listened with a gentle smile. This little one loves looking after others. All the Pokemon that live here depend on her. Xiaoguang stepped forward. Is Turtwig your Pokemon? She asked. No, I don't train Pokemon, and I'm not a coordinator, Granny Xingnai explained. I grow herbs and live quietly. One day this little one appeared here exhausted. I fed her and let her rest. She stayed to thank me by keeping watch over the forest and the lake. Turtwig nuzzled Granny Xingnai happily. Before long, she became the leader of the local Pokemon. Granny Xingnai laughed. But she's a bit too enthusiastic sometimes. She gives me a headache, Ash grinned. This Turtwig was perfect. I was going to try to catch her, he admitted. Granny Xingnai studied him with kind eyes. She's full of energy. A journey would suit her well. Turtwig sprang from Granny Xingnai's arms, took a battle stance, and focused on Ash as if ready to accept his challenge. Then a Lanoon collapsed onto the path, badly injured. The capture was put on hold. Ash gently used psychic energy to lift the hurt Pokemon and carry it to Granny Xingnai's cottage. Granny Xingnai and Xiaoguang hurried to gather herbs to make a restorative broth. Ash also infused the Lanoon with viridian power to stabilize it and help it recover. With the medicinal soup Granny Xingnai brewed and the viridian treatment, Lanoon's spirit returned much faster than expected. The group watched as it stirred and began to feel better. To be continued. Chapter 208, Capturing Turtwig, Battling Shinji Again. It was lunchtime when Xiaogang took over Granny Xingnai's kitchen and made a pot of thick, comforting soup for everyone. So delicious. Xiaogang's cooking is seriously too good, Xiaoguang said, savoring another spoonful. Traveling with Ash had definitely been the right choice. Ash noticed Turtwig sharing its soup with the injured Lanoon and smiled. He got up and ladled another bowl for the little grass type. Turtwig, you're so sweet. Have some more. There's plenty. Turtwig was touched and leapt onto Ash's head, nibbling at him affectionately. Ash quickly activated his Changpan power. Turtwig felt the pulse of it and grew even more attached. Granny Xingnai chuckled. As I thought, Turtwig really likes Ash. It bites the people it likes. After lunch, Ash officially began the capture battle. You're up, Starly. Quick attack! Starly! A white blur streaked across the clearing as Starly turned into an afterimage and struck Turtwig, but the little turtle held steady. As a heavyweight turtle Pokémon, Turtwig stabilized itself, shook off the hit, and used the sprout on its head to unleash dozens of razor leaves. Starly, ascend! Starly! Agile and nimble, Starly dodged the volley of leaves. Tailwind, aerial ace! Starly beat its wings and rose on a wind, then dove with the extra speed. The boosted aerial ace slammed into Turtwig and sent it crashing into a tree. Now's the time. Go, Pokeball! Ash didn't hesitate. A flash of light, and the Pokeball returned its conformation. Turtwig caught. Gender, male. Type, grass. Ability, overgrow. Strength, mid-stage moves. Razor, leaf, bite, synthesis, tackle. Turtwig's movements were surprisingly quick for a turtle, but its heavy frame would slow it considerably if it evolved into Grottle or Torterra. It would be best trained as more of an artillery tank type, focusing on boosting attack and defense rather than speed. After all, can a turtle really outrun a rabbit? Recovery moves would also be indispensable. Giga Drain would be an excellent choice. It deals damage while healing Turtwig. For now, Ash taught it a simpler version of that technique. Absorption. Did you catch a Turtwig? A familiar voice called. Ash turned. Shinji, what are you doing in this forest? I came to train, getting ready to challenge the Steel Gym. Shinji scowled at Turtwig. This Turtwig looks useless. Useful or not, we'll find out in a battle, Ash shot back. A woo. They walked together to the edge of a wide cliff and faced off. Shinji tossed a Pokeball. This one had a bit of an upset stomach during our last match. This time I'll win for sure. Out popped Chimchar, the fiery rival to Sinnoh's fire starter. Xiaoguang looked worried. Is Turtwig okay against a fire type? Xiaogang shrugged confidently. Don't worry, Ash's record against type disadvantages is even better than his record when he has the advantage. You go first, Ash offered the first move, and Shinji didn't hesitate. Scratch! Chimchar's speed was indeed superior. It flashed forward and slashed at Turtwig. Bite! Ash ordered. Turtwig snapped its jaws at Chimchar and bit down hard. Spinning its body, it threw the startled Chimchar into a tree with a thud. Leaves rained down as Chimchar slid to the ground. Shinji grit his teeth. Flame wheel! Chimchar leapt up, its body igniting into a spinning flame wheel that hurtled straight for Turtwig. Ash and Turtwig stood their ground. Xiaoguang's nerves tightened. Could they dodge it? Dodge to the right, Ash called. Turtwig sidestepped at the last moment. The flame wheel shot past harmlessly. Shinji and Xiaoguang blinked in surprise. Razor leaf? Then tackle! Turtwig shredded the incoming flame wheel with a spray of razor leaves, then charged, slamming into Chimchar. Use dig, Shinji barked. Chimchar dove underground, emerged beneath Turtwig's feet, and launched the turtle into the air. Without hesitation, Ash shouted, Razor leaf! Even while airborne, Turtwig unleashed a flurry of razor leaves that struck Chimchar, finishing off the already battered fire monkey. Turtwig landed gracefully. So amazing, Ash turned a disadvantage into an advantage, Xiaoguang cheered. Shinji recalled Chimchar. I lost. Seems it still can't control that move very well. With that, he turned and walked away. After Shinji left, Ash's group pressed on, but soon they'd taken a wrong turn and wandered into the bewildering forest. Its canopy was so thick that sunlight barely filtered through, leaving everything dim. Pokémon that favored the shadows, Eakins among them, slithered and roamed here. Most notable were the herds of Stantler. Why did we come to the bewildering forest? Xiaoguang peered around anxiously. I heard the Stantler here can make travelers fall into illusions and walk in circles forever. Don't worry, Ash patted his shoulder. They're just Stantler. Under my aura, they can't hide. Xiaogang checked a travel guide. If we pass through this forest, we'll reach Jubilife City quickly. It'll save a lot of time. Their conversation was interrupted when several Stantler surrounded them. Xiaogang warned, "Be careful, don't look at their antlers." Pikachu, Thunderbolt. Pika-Chu! A crackling blast of electricity arced out and frightened the Stantler herd away. Just as everyone relaxed with a sigh, a terrifying roar split the air. A massive Ursaring lumbered into view and began advancing toward Ash's group, step by step. To be continued. Chapter 209. Ursaring joins the team, Krogunk. Xiaoguang watched as a fierce Ursaring ducked behind Ash. "That's an Ursaring," she blurted. "Roar." The Ursaring scowled at them, clearly displeased to have been disturbed, and it began to gather energy for a hyper beam. In that case, it's settled. Shelgon, Dragon Pulse. Ash sent out a Pokeball. Shelgon materialized and formed a dragon-shaped wave of energy to meet the hyper beam. The two attacks collided with a blast of wind. "Impressive power," Ash said, eyes shining. This Ursaring was far stronger than most wild Pokemon, yet its hyper beam had been met blow for blow by Shelgon's Dragon Pulse. "Shelgon, capture it! Flamethrower!" Ash barked. Ursaring glared, but Ash suspected its anger covered something else. Its hyper beam had probably left it at a stalemate. Sure enough, orange flames engulfed the Ursaring, and it screamed in pain. The deadlock broke. A white glow flared on its right arm as it readied arm thrust. It scattered the flames and charged at Shelgon with murderous intent. Dragon Claw. Shelgon's forelegs formed two pairs of emerald claws. One met Ursaring's arm thrust, the other knocked it flying. Ash grabbed a Pokeball and threw it without hesitation. Sinnoh capture number 3, Ursaring. Name Ursaring, gender male, type normal ability Guts, Strength, mid-gym moves, Hyper Beam, Arm Thrust, Crunch, Thrash. Ash scanned the data and smiled. This Ursaring already had superb strength. With some training, it could become a mainstay for Sinnoh. "Out you go, Ursaring," he called. The Ursaring burst from the ball and angrily pounded its chest. Shelgon glared at it, but Ursaring's expression softened. It trotted over to Ash, trying to charm him with an awkward grin. "Ha-ha, it's actually kind of cute," Xiaoguang laughed. The Ursaring scratched its head sheepishly. Apparently, it had a surprisingly sweet side. "All right, take us out of here." Ursaring nodded, and under its lead, the group passed through the forest of confusion with ease. They soon ran into Shinji, who had just pulled an Ursaring from a battle with his Chimchar and caught it. Theirs was much smaller. When Shinji turned and caught sight of Ash's towering Ursaring, his face went pale. He muttered something about bad timing and hurried off. A little later, as Xiaozhi's group pushed toward Jubilife City through another stretch of woods, a Skizzer zipped out and stopped in front of them, scanning the area. "Caesar!" Ash's eyes lit up. He hadn't caught a Scyther or Scizor yet. A fast, hard-hitting bug steel would suit his style perfectly. "Caesar, slow down, you're in such a hurry," a young woman called as she hurried up. The Scizor belonged to her. "Ah, my heart can't take this, such beauty." Xiaogang gushed, hearts in his eyes as he rushed forward. "Please, not this again," Xiaoguang said, embarrassed. She'd seen Xiaogang's theatrics at the Pokémon Center before. At first it'd been novel, but now it was just predictable. Bang! Spinda suddenly leapt out and clung to Xiaogang's leg. He froze like he'd been electrocuted. With Xiao Xia and Xiao Sheng away, only Spinda could carry the weight of his romantic antics. "Wow, Scizor is so cool." Xiaoguang praised the sleek Scizor. "Thank you," the woman beamed. "It's my favorite Pokémon. Excuse me, do you know where the nearest gym is?" "A gym?" Xiaoguang asked. "The closest should be the Steel-type gym, right?" "No," the woman shook her head. "I heard from a friend there's a new gym nearby, Po Sheng Gym." "A gym?" Of course, Ash and the others wanted to check it out. They exchanged introductions. The woman's name was Shui Hui. "I'm not very good at battles," she admitted, "but I heard the Po Sheng Gym lets trainers deposit Pokémon that lost. Then the gym trains them to get stronger." Xiaoguang was impressed. Any place that helped struggling Pokémon sounded kind. Ash, however, felt uneasy. The idea sounded familiar. They followed Shui Hui deeper into the jungle and soon found a gaudy gym tucked between the trees. Ash closed his eyes and used aura. His expression tightened. As he suspected, this was the same trick again, a gym that took in Pokémon under the pretense of training them, then used them to swindle their trainers. Inside, Musashi stood nearby, commanding a Krogunk in battle against a young man's Sandslash. Krogunk moved with uncanny skill and quickly overwhelmed the Sandslash. Ash's memory of this Krogunk snapped into focus. If nothing changed, Xiaogang's flirtation would have consequences today. Just as the young man was about to hand over his Sandslash, Ash stepped between them. Wait. He reached out and stopped the trainer from trusting the Pokémon to Musashi. What's the matter, Ash? Xiaoguang asked, puzzled. The young man looked at Ash warily, and Musashi retreated a step. She knew Ash's aura-sensing ability could see past their disguises. They'd been caught by Satoshi too many times to ignore that. Team Rocket, where do you think you're going? Ash shouted. Xiaogang and Xiaoguang recognized them immediately. It's them! Satoshi, our target this time isn't Pikachu, Musashi said, trying to hold her ground. If you know what's good for you, leave. Pikachu and Eevee just smiled defiantly. At that moment, Wobbuffet, Mime Jr., and a few other Team Rocket Pokémon called out in support. Then an explosion of commotion echoed through the gym as the situation threatened to escalate. Miss Shuihui stepped forward. I'll stay and wait for the trainers who own these Pokémon to come collect them, she announced calmly. She clearly believed the gym's promise and wasn't ready to lose the Pokémon she thought were being cared for. Xiaogang, undeterred, turned on the charm again. Miss Shuihui, you're so kind and considerate. My heart is pierced again. Before he could finish, he felt a strange presence behind him. It was nothing like Spinda. He turned to see Croagunk staring straight at him, its cheek pouches bulging. Time seemed to slow as the two regarded one another. After a long pause, Xiaogang asked tentatively, Do you want to come with me? Croagunk stared for a moment, then gave a short, affirmative nod. Xiaogang threw out a Pokeball, and Croagunk joined him. Ash grinned. Xiaogang was in for an interesting partnership. Just as they were about to move on, Xiaogang took Miss Shuihui's hand once more. Then I'll stay with you and keep watch over these Pokémon, he declared. Bang! Croagunk and Spinda leapt out together. The two Pokémon exchanged a look, then acted in perfect, mischievous sync. Croagunk's poison jab struck Xiaogang's lower back without hesitation. Numb, 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 numb. Xiaogang yelped as the poison's paralytic effect hit him. He stiffened, unable to move. Croagunk and Spinda each took hold of him and helped support him as they began to lead him forward. Ash and Xiaoguang exchanged quick goodbyes with Miss Shuihui and hurried after them. To be continued. Chapter 210. No problem. Xiaoguang catches Boneri. Xiaogang had just caught Croagunk, leaving Xiaoguang as the only one of the three who still hadn't added a new Pokémon to her team. She had tried and failed repeatedly, no catches yet. Meanwhile, Xiaozhi's group drew nearer to Jubilife City, and Xiaoguang's first gorgeous competition, the Jubilife Convention, was about to begin. Early that morning, Ash was exercising with his Pokémon while Xiaogang prepared breakfast for everyone. Turtwig had finally mastered Absorb and was ready to learn Energy Ball next, a move that would be very useful now and in the future. Ursaring was working on Shadow Claw, one of the few non-normal moves it could learn besides Lick. It would give it an advantage against fighting types. The rest of the team trained hard as well. Even mischievous Ipom, under the watchful eyes of Pikachu and Eevee, obediently practiced Fire Punch and Ice Punch. A piercing scream cut through the campsite from Xiaoguang's tent. Ash stopped mid-exercise, and Xiaogang dropped a potato he was peeling. Ash hurried over. Xiaoguang, are you all right? Do not come in, Xiaoguang shouted angrily from inside. It's terrible. My hair is a mess. Ash immediately understood. A bad morning hairstyle was a crisis for someone like Xiaoguang. He smiled. Don't worry. Easy fix. How? Xiaoguang's voice brightened. Have Poplio use a small bubble beam. She stuck her head out when she heard that, brightening. Poplio, who had been amused by her wild hair, reluctantly complied. A gentle spray of bubble beam washed through her hair. Ta-da! Xiaoguang emerged, her dark blue hair smooth and shiny. She spun around next to Ash. Thanks, Ash. Who knew bubble beam could straighten hair and act as a conditioner? Ash clapped. Looks great. Xiaogang watched and smiled. Being around Ash had clearly improved his social skills. He crouched and called to Croagunk. Croagunk, can you help me pick up that potato? Krogunk eyed him, its poison sac twitching. Just as Xiaogang was about to reach down himself, Krogunk grinned, flicked the potato into the air, and Pikachu instantly dashed forward, leapt, caught the potato, executed a perfect backflip, and landed poised. Pikachu! Pikachu handed the potato back to Xiaogang, who laughed. Thanks, Pikachu. Hidden in a nearby patch of grass, a small rabbit had watched Pikachu's graceful move and stared at him with wide, starry eyes like a love-struck teenager. Pikachu? Pikachu noticed the stare and glanced around. Breakfast's ready, Xiaogang called, and everyone hurried to the meal. As they ate, Ash noticed Xiaoguang picking at her rice ball slowly and looking distracted. What's up? Ash asked. You look worried. Xiaogang leaned forward, concerned. Don't you like the rice ball? I can make something else. No, it's not that. Xiaoguang sighed. You and Ash have both caught new partners and will be in Jubilife City soon, but I still haven't caught a Pokémon. Blue light flickered across Ash's face. Ah, I think I saw one that would be perfect. Finish eating and I'll take you to it. Really? Xiaoguang brightened and ate eagerly. After breakfast, she followed Ash, Xiaogang, and Pikachu close behind. They parted the grass and came face to face with a Buneri. It's Buneri, Xiaoguang breathed. Buneri blushed when it saw Pikachu and ducked its head shyly. Ash set Pikachu down in front of it. Buneri covered its little face with its soft fur and turned away. Could this be? Xiaogang grinned. A rabbit falling for a mouse. It was love, he declared, delighted. Pikachu scratched its head, a little awkward, while Eevee watched the scene with interest. Xiaoguang smiled and knelt. Buneri, do you want to be my partner? That way you can stay near Pikachu. Buneri glanced back at Pikachu, then nodded determinedly and hopped forward, accepting the challenge. Poplio, this time you have to help me catch it, Xiaoguang said. Poplio, bubble beam. Poplio fired a stream of bubbles, but Buneri gathered a Psybeam and swept the attack aside, turning the bubbles into sparkling ice flakes that drifted gently to the ground. Then Buneri leaped and struck Poplio with a powerful ear attack. Xiaoguang had been warned by Buneri's quick moves from her previous attempts, so she was ready. Dodge, then peck. Poplio dodged and pecked, sending Buneri tumbling. Xiaoguang seized the moment. She threw a Pokeball she'd been practicing with. The ball shook. Xiaoguang muttered under her breath, No problem, no problem. This will definitely be fine. With a click, the red light went out. The catch was successful. Ash's mouth twitched. Given how the battle had gone, Buneri hadn't been overwhelmed. It had been strong. More likely, it had let itself be caught so it could be with Pikachu. Xiaoguang stepped forward, picked up the Pokeball, and held it up triumphantly. No problem, I caught Buneri. Poplio, Poplio cheered. Congratulations, Xiaoguang. Ash and Xiaogang stepped in to congratulate her. With a new partner at her side, Xiaoguang could now focus on the gorgeous competition in Jubilife City. To be continued. Chapter 211, Pokémon Watch. Beautifly returns Jubilife City, the most advanced city in the Sinnoh region, bustled with activity. The GTS Global Terminal, Jubilife TV station, and the Pokémon Watch Company all stood here, and in 3 days, the city would host the Jubilife Congress. Coordinators from across the region were already arriving, making last-minute preparations. After days of travel, Ash and his companions finally reached Jubilife. Under the enthusiastic leadership of Xiaoguang, the trio made a beeline for a specialty shop that sold the new must-have gadget for coordinators, the Pokémon Watch. A Pokémon Watch is essential for any coordinator now, Xiaoguang said, eyes glued to the posters plastered all over the street. Everyone has one. Top coordinators use them. They sell like hotcakes. Everywhere they looked, advertisements promoted the watch. The technology in the Pokémon world had been advancing fast. Rotom Dex and the Rotom Phone felt like they might appear next. And the watch promised to grow even more useful as apps were added. A berry detector to find nearby berries, a coin flip app to decide opening moves in battle, and more. Of course, Ash and his friends wanted one, and Xiaoguang, waving a poster like a flag, declared, If a top coordinator endorses it, I must get one. After wandering for a while, Xiaoguang wasn't exactly great with directions. They found the shop. To their surprise, a notice on the door announced that sales had been halted and previous units were being recalled. Something had gone wrong. How could this happen? Xiaoguang sagged. I was planning to get one before my debut. Cheer up, Ash suggested. Let's go get something to eat first. That sounds good, said Xiaoguang, brightening. I want ice cream made with Miltank fresh milk. Just then, a small crowd up the street caught their eye. A few clowns handing out Pokémon watches. Xiaoguang charged forward, but Ash grabbed his arm. Stop, Ash said. Team Rocket. Team Rocket? Xiaoguang and Xiaogang cried. If the official watches had been pulled from shelves and Team Rocket was still handing them out, they were dealing with counterfeits. They rushed over. The Team Rocket trio were in disguise, smiling and calling out to passersby. Try the newest tech, Pokémon Watch, only today. Ipom in the crowd hesitated, then reached for one of the watches. Piplup, Bubble Beam, Xiaoguang called, sending out his Piplup. A stream of shimmering bubbles burst through the air, hitting the clowns. The disguises burst apart, and the Team Rocket trio's true identities were revealed. The fake watches in their hands began to fade, the poor quality paint running like water. The crowd realized they'd been duped. Shouts of anger rose, and people hurried to reclaim their money. Team Rocket flailed as the onlookers closed in. Pikachu, Ash shouted to his partner. A flash of electricity lit the air, and a small explosion of sparks sent Team Rocket tumbling, not seriously hurt, just their usual dramatic exit. The trio scrambled away, blasting off in their signature fashion, leaving behind discarded fake watches and the lingering smell of ozone. A small boy and his shinks approached them, grateful and worried. Thank you, he said. My dad runs the Pokémon Watch Company. Because of the fakes, he had to recall all the watches. We don't know when they can go back on sale. The boy introduced himself as Teruhiko and led them to his father. Teruhiko's father, head of the Pokémon Watch Company, was stunned when he saw Ash. Word of Ash's accomplishments as a coordinator and his reputation as a gorgeous master reached far, and the man quickly warmed to them when he learned they'd helped expose the counterfeiters. To show his gratitude, Teruhiko's father handed Ash and his friends brand new Pokémon watches, the latest model. The company knew Ash's presence would be good publicity, and they were happy to give thanks in kind. The new watch even included a feature that could measure the bond between a trainer and their Pokémon. Pikachu and Eevee registered full marks, of course. Xiaogang's Krogunk and his Spinda showed strong bonds too. Krogunk had been a recent catch, but already close to its trainer. Xiaoguang, being a newcomer, had a lot of room to grow, but the watch would track that progress. Xiaoguang got a pink watch, Xiaogang an orange one, and Ash a sleek black model. Ash wore it on his right wrist, just above his universal ring. Their first stop after getting the watches was the Pokémon Center. Xiaogang was promptly dragged away by an excited Nurse Joy to take care of a few things, and Ash turned to his own team. He couldn't rely on Ipom alone for the upcoming gorgeous competition. He needed a proper lineup. He sent Turtwig off for more grass-type training and brought out Beautifly. Beautifly hadn't appeared at the Kanto Gorgeous competition, so Sinnoh would be its comeback stage. Nurse Joy here has the results, Ash said as he wrapped things up with the center staff. At that moment, a familiar face appeared on a video call, Professor Oak, his reputation preceding him. But the conversation took an amusing turn. The visiting Nurse Joy was from Icefire Island, and when Professor Oak began to compose his characteristic short, clever Pokémon haiku, Xiaoguang's eyes lit up. Professor Oak can do Pokémon haiku, she squealed, all but bouncing on her heels. Xiaogang stared at Ash in amazement, along with a touch of envy. Ash, you own an island? He blurted. And you have your own Nurse Joy? Added Xiaoguang, equally stunned. Ash laughed and shrugged. If you've got time, I'll take you to see the island. Both of them agreed at once. With Beautifully set to compete, new watches on their wrists, and a possible island visit ahead, the Jubilife Congress was shaping up to be an exciting event. To be continued. Chapter 212, Jubilife City Gorgeous Competition. Rival Xiaoguang appears. Ta-da! Xiaoguang posed in front of the tablet, showing Ash, Brock, and her mother Ayako the dress she would wear in tomorrow's gorgeous competition. The dress had been custom-made by top coordinator Ayako. Xiaoguang, you look so fresh, Brock said, admiring the outfit. He wasn't interested in little girls like Xiaoguang, but the dress really did suit her. In the Sinnoh Gorgeous competition, coordinators often use outfits as part of their performances, Xiaoguang explained with a smile. Brock turned to Ash in surprise. Doesn't that mean? Ash nodded. I didn't prepare one. By the time I found out, it was too late. Ah? Xiaoguang cried. So Ash will have to perform in his usual clothes? If you'd told me earlier, I would have made one for him when I made Xiaoguang's, Ayako said over the video call. Now it's too late. It's fine. The focus of the gorgeous competition is the Pokémon, Ash said with an easy grin. He actually had a backup plan. Activate the C-Force and enter the seeking state. The suit the C-Force produced looked incredibly cool. Ayako nodded. Becoming a top coordinator wasn't just about pretty clothes. It was about the bond between a trainer and their Pokémon. Xiaoguang lifted her skirt and beamed. Mom, I really love the dress. I'm glad you like it, but something's missing. Ayako glanced at her daughter's bare neck. Isn't the necklace in there? Necklace? I don't see it. Meow. A Glameow padded up and presented a necklace dangling from its springy tail. It's Glameow, Xiaoguang exclaimed, almost mistaking the Pokémon for Ayako's own. Ayako confirmed it with a smile. Just then, the Glameow's trainer came into view on the screen. A short-haired, orange-red-haired girl wearing sunglasses and a vest, tomboyish and confident. This is yours. You left it in the fitting room, she said, hugging Glameow. You knew that was Xiaoguang's? Brock said, astonished. In this Pokémon Center, if anyone would match that necklace, it can only be her, the girl replied simply. Brock could only shake his head, perhaps the difference between how he saw Joy and Jenny and how others recognized them. Xiaoguang hurried to put the necklace on. Look, Mom, it's perfect. Ash turned to the girl on the screen. Thanks. I'm Ash, and this is Xiaoguang. The girl smiled. I know you, Top Coordinator Ash. I'm Xiaoguang. Nice to meet you. Brock introduced himself, and Xiaoguang, who had been scolded by her mother earlier, quickly thanked her rescuer. See you at the gorgeous competition, Xiaoguang said as she left with Glameow. Ash, Xiaoguang, good luck. I'll be watching on TV. Ayako ended the call. With the competition starting tomorrow, Ash took Ipom and Xiaoguang's Piplup out for special training. Xiaoguang demonstrated Piplup's performance. Peck, by concentrating energy, Piplup's beak glowed white and elongated into a sharp spear. It was clear Xiaoguang had trained hard. At registration, Xiaoguang and Ash slid their Pokédexes into the reader to sign up. Your IDs have been copied to the gorgeous competition pass. Registration is complete. This pass is the coordinator's ID. You can use it to register for competitions throughout Sinnoh, the attendant added. Ash and Xiaoguang received their passes. This was Ash's third. They were also handed a ribbon badge box, capsule balls, and stickers. The ribbon badge box was ordinary, but the capsule balls and stickers were new. Ash, you've never seen these, right? Xiaoguang said, holding up a capsule ball. In Sinnoh's gorgeous competitions, coming out of the Pokeball can be part of the act. She set a Pokeball inside a capsule ball, attached a heart sticker, and tossed it. A heart effect bloomed, and Piplup leapt out surrounded by hearts. Looking at the variety of stickers, Ash realized that cleverly combining them could be part of a coordinator's skill. The gorgeous competition, grand performances across many towns. Pokémon shine, leap, and dance to win ribbon badges. To all our esteemed guests, thank you for your patience. The Pokémon Contest Jubilee City Gorgeous Competition officially begins. The host, Ms. Hyacinth, took the stage. Ash noticed she resembled other famous hosts he knew, Vivian and Lillian, and the judging panel was the same familiar trio he had seen before. He was becoming convinced Contesta and Tsukizo must have relatives judging contests as well. In the waiting room, Brock rushed up to Ash. Ash, have you seen Xiaoguang? She's nowhere to be found. Just then, Xiaoguang and Xiaoguang appeared together. Xiaoguang had been wrestling with her hair. She wanted a style to match her dress, but couldn't get it right. Xiaoguang had stepped in and fixed the hairstyle perfectly. First up is the initial round, individual performances. One Pokémon shows its moves and the results of your hard work, Miss Hyacinth announced, and Jubilee City's gorgeous competition was underway. And now, welcome our first contestant, she continued. Please come out. The first contestant was Xiaoguang. Ready? Go, Misdreavus. From a swirl of purple mist, a ghostly Misdreavus emerged. Xiaoguang began with double team, multiplying the spectral images until the mist filled with dozens of shadowy figures, eerily effective, fully capturing a ghost's mystique. Through its dark silhouette, Misdreavus conveys a strange, Compelling charm, Miss Hyacinth remarked, setting the crowd buzzing. Miss Drevis finished the smoky illusion with Psybeam, dispersing the fog to reveal its actual form, then drifted playfully toward the audience with its copies. It concluded the routine with a flourish of thunder wave, crackling electric waves that detonated into golden sparkles across the stage. The performance was flawless. Next up is Miss Sweet Musashi Lena, participating for the first time. To be continued. Chapter 2 and 13. Successfully promoted. Facing off against Xiao Wang. After several rounds of performances, it was finally Musashi's turn. Her dress had been paid for with the combined savings of the Team Rocket trio, an extravagant gown befitting a coordinator spectacle. Musashi's act, true to form, was bold and theatrical. With a heart-shaped effect, she sent out Carnivine. The routine began innocently enough. Carnivine used Bullet Seed to shatter a giant lollipop. Then things went off the rails. Carnivine used Bite and latched onto Musashi's head. That looked painful. Xiao Guang broke into a cold sweat at the sight. Opponents here were not to be underestimated. Next up, a top coordinator from Kanto making his Sinnoh debut in Jubilife City, Mr. Ash, Miss Bayan announced with a smile. The crowd erupted in enthusiastic applause. Top coordinators were a rare sight. Ipom, I choose you. Ook! Ipom appeared against a burst of colorful stars. It cracked a tail whip swift that collided with the starlight, scattering gold and 7-colored sparks. Ipom used Swift for a dazzling entrance. Miss Bayan narrated. Double team. Ipom leapt and multiplied into 4 copies, 5 identical figures taking different positions on the stage. Swift followed by Focus Punch. The 5 Ipom hurled Swift at the center, then each struck with Focus Punch, shattering the starlight into a giant 5-pointed star. Finish with Star Ladder. Ipom dropped from midair, Swift spinning around its tail and forming a glowing ladder of stars beneath it. The little monkey bounced and cavorted across the star ladder, a playful performance of agility. Finally, it landed and waved. Bang! The starlight exploded outward and blanketed the arena in glittering light. The audience rose in applause. As expected of Ash, Xiao Guang and Xiao Wang both praised, impressed. Now the next contestant is a first-time coordinator, Miss Xiao Guang from Twin Leaf Town. Please welcome her, Miss Bayan announced. No problem, no problem. Xiao Guang stepped onto the stage, her heart pounding. Her journey as a coordinator was officially underway. Piplup, make a charming entrance. Xiao Guang chose a bubble effect sticker that perfectly suited Piplup. Piplup, use Bubble Beam. Bubbles and sparkling light rose together, filling the stage. Use Peck. Xiao Guang and Piplup had practiced the spear-like peck until it was lightning fast. Piplup leapt up, striking with rapid, precise pecks that pierced every bubble. Oh my, all the energy is focused in Piplup's beak, Miss Bayan praised. Xiao Guang found a rhythm. Piplup struck the air with a blur of pecks, too fast for the eye, and shattered each bubble. The shattered bubbles turned to droplets that flashed brilliantly in the sunlight. After her performance, Xiao Guang hurried over to Ash, still buzzing. Standing on that stage was nerve-wracking. It felt like it was over in an instant. You did great. Passing the first review is no problem, Ash said with a smile. Xiao Guang had reached this level on her first try. Her talent showed. When Xiao Yao had first competed, she'd even used assist with a frisbee, Xiao Guang thought with a mortified laugh, then collapsed to the ground in relief. No problem, no problem. Now that the performance is done, I feel totally drained. A gentle hand helped her up. Isn't it a little early to relax? This is only the first review, said Xiao Wang. Xiao Guang looked up and flushed. Xiao Wang, she stammered. That was an accident. Now I will announce the results of the review, Miss Bayan said. Those who advance to the second review and will appear in the gorgeous battle are... She pointed to the big screen. Pictures of 8 coordinators flashed across it. These 8 people, Ash, Xiao Guang, Xiao Wang, and Musashi all had their faces displayed. The 4 of them had passed. Xiao Guang whooped. She turned to see Ash and Xiao Wang, calm and composed. Clearly, they'd expected to move on. As expected of someone with a ribbon badge, Xiao Guang murmured admiringly. I have to tell my mom right away, she blurted to her phone. Ayako, her mother, had been following the contest. Xiao Guang, congratulations on passing the first review, Ayako answered proudly. Next is the second review. It's a battle performance, don't forget. I know, no problem. Xiaoguang brimmed with motivation. Soon the matchups were posted. The first battle was Ash versus Xiaowang, while Xiaoguang and Musashi drew random opponents. Ash, beautifully for me. Ash called. Glemiao, ready, go. Xiaowang replied. Beautifully appeared amid a shower of flowers. Its shimmering golden body caught every eye. Wow, it's a shiny beautifully, so beautiful, Xiaoguang breathed, awed. This beautifully had been one of Ash's signature gorgeous performers. It was a serious opponent. Sunny day, Ash called. A brilliant beam of light burst from Beautifully, and the stage was bathed in bright sunlight. Under the glare, Beautifully's golden scales sparkled even more, and Xiaowang's score immediately began to fall. So amazing! Just one sunny day and Xiaowang's score drops, Xiaoguang exclaimed. Glemiao, use Shadow Claw. Xiaowang ordered, determined, leaped, a ghostly claw forming on its paw. Silver Wind, Beautifully answered. Beautifully fluttered its wings and launched a silver wind. The two attacks met. Glamiao was knocked back across the stage, but Xiaowang refused to give up. Use Iron Tail. Glamiao sprang back, its tail glowing white as it lashed toward Beautifly with a perfect backflip. Calmly, Ash called out, Protect, then Quiver Dance. A green shield sprang up around Beautifully, blocking the Iron Tail, while the butterfly began a graceful, empowering quiver dance. Xiaowang's score continued to fall. Fury swipes, she shouted. Glamiao's claws flashed in a blur, white after images streaking through the air. The shield shattered under the onslaught, but Ash seized the opening. Now, Solar Beam, Iron Tail, Beautifully gathered solar energy on its wings and fired a scorching white beam. Simultaneously, Glamiao's Iron Tail struck, but the combined assault was too much. Glamiao was swept away by the solar beam. Beautifully, already boosted by Quiver Dance and having reached the gym later stage, simply overwhelmed Glamiao. Xiaowang's score dropped to 0. She was eliminated. Ash had successfully advanced. To be continued. Chapter 214, Earning the First Ribbon in Sinnoh. Xiaoguang and Musashi both made it through to the next round, and when the bracket was announced, Ash found out he would face Xiaoguang in the second round. I'm against Ash, Xiaoguang cried out in surprise, not expecting to meet him so soon. Be careful, Ash is strong, Xiaoguang warned. Xiaoguang only smiled with excitement. Bring it on, I can't wait to battle Ash. Xiaoguang shook her head with a helpless smile at Xiaoguang's confidence. Now, the first match of the second round is about to begin. Ash versus Miss Xiaoguang. Time limit 5 minutes, no pauses. Start the match. Buniri, make a charming entrance, Xiaoguang called. Beautifully, dazzling display, Ash answered. Buniri and Beautifully took the stage together in a flurry of color. Ash glanced at Xiaoguang's Buniri and thought, half to himself, that Pikachu might have ended the match quickly. Xiaoguang moved first. Buniri, Psybeam, Psychic. Beautifully glowed pink as a Psybeam arced toward Buniri. Xiaoguang shouted, Dodge and use Bounce. Buniri leapt high. The Psybeam struck where it had been standing and froze into a little ice mound. Buniri flipped elegantly and landed on top. The move impressed the judges, and Ash's coordination score slipped. Nice, Xiaoguang cheered. Don't celebrate yet, Ash laughed. Quiver Dance into Silver Wind, now Shinny. Beautifully's Quiver Dance summoned 2 gleaming silver winds, and Shinny amplified them into a blinding flash. Buniri and Xiaoguang were momentarily dazzled. Buniri was blown back by the winds, and Xiaoguang's points took a steep drop. Aerial Ace, Ash went on the offensive. Beautifully dove like an arrow. Buniri, counter with Dizzy Punch, Xiaoguang ordered. Buniri tried, but the little rabbit's ears couldn't block the approach. Beautifly's stronger attack knocked it back again. Though it was a butterfly, its strength was clearly greater than Buniri's. Air Cutter. Beautifully's wings sliced the air into razor-like currents. Xiaoguang refused to give up on her chance to shine on the gorgeous contest stage. Buniri, Ride the Wind. Bounce! Sensing its trainer's determination, Buniri landed and bounded along the wind blades, closing the distance while performing graceful aerial steps. The unexpected maneuver recovered a lot of points for Xiaoguang and put Ash on the defensive again. Now use Psybeam, Xiaoguang urged. Buniri leapt and fired a cold turquoise beam toward Beautifly. Energy Ball, Beautifully replied, condensing a green orb that met the Psybeam head-on and exploded in a shower of blue and green light. The 5 minutes ended as the sparks faded. Despite a period where Ash lost a lot of points, he still held the lead overall. Ash advanced to the finals. Lost, Xiaoguang whispered, staring at the scoreboard. She had expected it. She was a newcomer and Ash was a veteran coordinator, but the disappointment still stung. That was a great match, Ash said, stepping up with a friendly smile. For a newcomer, you put on a performance I couldn't match when I first started. You did well, Xiaogang called, approaching with Sudowoodo while Pikachu and Eevee hopped along. I remember Ash used electric moves against my Onyx back then. Didn't know types yet. You're doing great, Xiaoguang. A wonderful match. Xiaoguang also praised. Xiaoguang wiped away a tear, then reached out and shook Ash's hand. Thanks, I'll win next time, she vowed. Xiaogang smirked. Xiaoyao had made the same promise many times before without succeeding, but Xiaoguang's resolve seemed genuine. After a quick phone call to her mother Ayako, Xiaoguang went to the stands to cheer in the finals. Ash's opponent in the final round was Musashi, using the alias Sweet Musashi Lina. The final minutes played out with intensity. Ash's score had fallen by about a quarter, but Musashi was down to only a quarter of hers. Carnivine, use seed machine gun, Musashi called, desperate for a comeback. Air cutter, Ash countered immediately. Beautifly's wind blades shredded the incoming seeds and knocked Carnivine aside. Now finish it with Silver Wind. 2 silver winds enveloped Carnivine. It stumbled and collapsed, unable to continue. Carnivine can no longer battle. Sweet Musashi Lina's score is 0. The winner is Ash, Judge Bayan announced. The arena exploded in cheers. Xiaoguang jumped up and shouted, Ash won. He got the Jubilife ribbon. Pikachu, Eevee, the Pokémon cried happily. Now presenting the Jubilife ribbon to the winner, Ash. Let's give him another round of applause. Thank you, Ash said, smiling as he accepted his first ribbon in Sinnoh. As dusk settled, the contest ended and people began to part ways. Ash, congratulations. I'll train harder and challenge you again, Xiaoguang said. Looking forward to it, Ash replied. I'll challenge you next time too, Xiaoguang added firmly. One day I'll be a coordinator who can show off Pokemon's charm even better than you and Ash. I'll be waiting, Xiaoguang said, slipping on her sunglasses and waving goodbye. Everyone, take care. Next up for Ash was the Sinnoh Gym Challenge, the Steel Gym in the neighboring city. Despite its name, the gym specialized in rock-type Pokemon. It would be Ash's third rock gym battle. He planned his team accordingly, swapping beautifully out and sending Turtwig and Lapras forward. Early the next morning, Ash and his group left Jubilife City and traveled toward the Steel City, cutting through forest paths along the way. Ash trained his team as they walked, focusing especially on the 3 Pokemon he would use in the upcoming gym battle, Turtwig, Lapras, and Ursaring. And Starly was showing signs of evolving any day now. To be continued. Chapter 215, Evolution. Staravia, the forest teemed with bird Pokemon. To help Starly evolve as quickly as possible, Ash took it through the woods to challenge the local flocks. Starly, use wing attack, he called. Starly, white light flashed from Starly's wings and struck down a Spearow. Nice work, Starly. Ash smiled and held out his arm. Starly circled and landed there. Ash used Viridian power to heal the Spearow's injuries, gave it some Pokemon food, and sent it on its way. As the group pushed deeper into the woods, Xiaoguang suddenly grabbed Ash's sleeve, worry in her voice. Ash, isn't it a bit quiet? There are fewer and fewer bird Pokemon. Ash's face hardened. He expanded his aura. Usually, silence like this meant one of 2 things. They had walked into the territory of a powerful Pokemon, or someone had been rounding up the birds. A powerful Pokemon would be dangerous but detectable. A poacher could mean hundreds of captured Pokemon. Under Ash's aura sense, there was almost nothing, no powerful presence. He led Xiaogang and Xiaoguang up to a high ridge so they could see into the valley below. From there, the sight was grim. Bird nests dotted the trees, but almost no birds were flying. Then a woman in a white lab coat and purple hair appeared before them. "Excuse me," she said. "Have you noticed the drop in bird Pokemon too?" Xiaogang immediately stepped forward and took her hand with an overly dramatic bow. "Ah, beautiful lady, may I know your name? This humble one came to Sinnoh just for you." A cold look passed over the researcher. 2 Pokemon, Krogunk and Spinda, appeared and hauled Xiaogang away, leaving him sputtering embarrassingly. Ash and Xiaoguang exchanged awkward smiles, then introduced themselves properly. The woman was a researcher named Xian, studying the forest's birds. She had also been tracking the recent disappearances. From my investigations, Xian said, the birds are being taken through the river valley ahead. That's the choke point they use to return to their nests. Everyone nodded and hurried toward the valley. They hadn't gone far when they spotted the culprits, the Team Rocket trio. Jesse, James, and Meowth had set up a trap, an iron net strung across the valley, a pit underneath. When bird Pokémon flew through, they'd get tangled and drop into a cage. Those troublemakers again, Xiaogang muttered, clenching his fists. Just then, a Swablu crashed into the net and fell into the pit. Ash, what do we do? Xiaogang shouted. Starly, quick attack, Ash ordered. Starly flashed forward, slashed the net, and freed the Swablu. The little cottony bird chirped and rubbed against Starly gratefully. While Starly distracted the traps, Pikachu and Eevee slipped into the encampment and used Iron Tail to bust open cages and cut ropes. Within moments, the captured birds were free and sweeping out, tearing down Team Rocket's snares. What's happening? Oh no, it's Ash, Jessie cried. The trio scrambled back to their hideout and deployed a giant wooden robot with huge nets on its arms. Ha! Ash, wood's resistant to electricity. This time we'll capture Pikachu, James cackled. Ash regarded the wooden contraption as if it were not the brightest plan. Eevee, raging flames. Eevee summoned a massive fireball. The wooden robot burst into flames and collapsed into a smoldering pile of ash. Curses! This isn't over. Team Rocket climbed out from the rubble. Jessie sent out a Dustox. Use Hurricane! Go, Starly! Ash shouted. Aerial Ace. Starly leapt into the sky, blue and white light flaring around it. The light of evolution shattered the air. Starly glowed and transformed into Staravia. She evolved, Xiaoguang cried. Ability, stage superior late. Moves, Endeavor, Whirlwind. Great! Go, Staravia, Ash called. Staravia dove at high speed, opposing Dustox's Hurricane with a powerful flying strike. Dustox was sent tumbling, and the blast sent Team Rocket hurtling skyward once more. What a nasty feeling, they howled as their usual Pokémon, Wabufei and Mime Jr., popped out with them. With the traps destroyed, all the rescued birds returned to their nests. That's wonderful, Xiaoguang said, smiling. The Swablu, however, didn't fly off. It stayed, rubbing against Staravia adoringly. Staravia stood proudly, accepting the affection. Xiaogang watched and grinned. Looks like Swablu's fallen for Staravia. Who could blame her? Starly saved her like a hero. Wow, he's lucky with the ladies, Xiaoguang teased. Ash stepped forward and petted the Swablu. Want to come with me? You'll be with Staravia. The Swablu chirped happily and nodded. Ash didn't hesitate. He threw a Pokeball. Swab female. Type normal, flying. Ability Cloud9, negates weather effects. Stage superior early. Moves peck, disarming voice, play rough, dragon breath. With Swablu added, Ash's team was complete again, his fourth capture in Sinnoh. The new Swablu could potentially be trained for Sinnoh competitions, even if its Dynamax type was Fairy. After saying goodbye to Xian, who continued her research, the group set out of the forest toward Steel City. Xiaogang reluctantly parted, only consenting after Croagunk and Spinda gave him a warning look. On the road to Steel City, Xiaogang's Bonsly learned Mimic and evolved at last into Sudowoodo, becoming his new ace Pokémon. Soon after, the industrial skyline of Steel City rose ahead. We made it to Steel City, Ash said, smiling as they took in the metallic cityscape. It had been a long time since his last gym match, and he was eager for his first Sinnoh challenge. Ash, this is your first gym in Sinnoh. Give it your all, Xiaoguang encouraged. They stopped at the Pokémon Center to heal their team, then headed straight for the Steel Gym. To be continued. Chapter 2:16, Shinji's Gym Match. A narrow victory. Looking at the Steel Gym carved into the mountain before them, Xiaoguang couldn't help grinning. This place just screams, bring it on. The gym's entrance was carved into the rock face, giving it a formidable, immovable presence. As the main door opened, a cool young man stepped out. It was Shinji. Shinji, long time no see. Ash greeted with a smile. Shinji returned the greeting and immediately challenged. The gym leader isn't here, right? Want to battle? An older man appeared from behind Shinji. Hello, are you here to challenge the gym too? We can't yet. You'll have to wait your turn, Ash said to Shinji, then turned to the man. I'm Ash from Pallet Town. From Kanto, welcome to Sinnoh's stronghold of rock-type Pokémon, the Steel Gym, the man replied with a pleased look. Gym leader Hyota is very strong. He's gone out for a bit. I'm Mr. Iwaki, temporarily in charge. Matches can only start once Hyoda returns. You'll go after Shinji, he challenged first. Okay, I'll head back to the Pokemon Center and wait, Shinji said and moved off. Can we watch your match? He asked. Suit yourselves, Shinji shrugged as he left. Mr. Iwaki took Ash's reservation and handed him a badge case. By the way, where did Hyoda go? Ash asked. Waiting around wasn't his style. He went to the steel coal mine, Mr. Iwaki answered. Xiao Gang, a former rock gym leader, nodded knowingly. Steel City is famous for its energy resources, top-quality coal mines. Mr. Iwaki smiled. To Hyoda, that mine is like a treasure trove. Curious, Ash, Xiao Guang, and Xiao Gang went straight to the coal mine. Heavy machinery and mine carts moved about, and a steady stream of fighting-type Pokemon hauled rocks. Miners had just pried something large from the shaft, a skull fossil. A young miner called out, "Everyone, hold on a moment." The three realized the solemn man standing nearby was gym leader Hyoda. He took off his gloves and gently touched the fossil. Welcome. This is your era. One day you'll be revived. Look forward to that day. Transport it to the museum, someone ordered. Yes, understood, the miners replied. Ash and his friends stepped forward. Mr. Hyoda. Hyoda turned, surprised. Excuse me, you are? Ash, from Pallet Town, Ash said quickly. I'm here to challenge the Steel Gym. Xiao Guang added, but we're already second in line. Hyoda apologized for the delay and returned with them to the gym. Inside, he was still excited about the fossil discovery. It's in excellent condition. It's been ages since we found something like this. Shinji had apparently learned of the find and walked back into the gym. Mr. Iwaki introduced the challengers. This is the first challenger, he said, looking at Shinji. I'm sorry for making you wait so long. I am Gym Leader Hyoda. Pleased to meet you. Hyoda said. You're the one I should be careful of, Shinji replied politely. All right, let's begin, Hyoda said, leading Shinji and Ash's party into the battle arena. For Xiao Guang, this was her first time inside a gym's arena. She looked around in awe. So this is what a gym looks like inside, Xiao Gang smiled. Although all gyms are battle arenas, each one is tailored to the type they specialize in. This rock gym is arranged so rock-type Pokemon can move around naturally. Shinji's match began first. The rules were 3-on-3. Shinji opened with Geodude against Ash's Azumarill. Though water has an advantage over rock, Azumarill's Hydro Pump was blocked by Geodude's hidden power, and Geodude rolled through repeatedly with Rollout to take it down. The Azumarill looked like the kind Shinji often abandoned. Shinji sent out his Elekid next. Despite a size disadvantage, Elekid's Brick Break smashed through Geodude's defenses and knocked it out. Hyoda's second Pokemon was the classic Onix. With superior reach and movement, Onix evaded Elekid's attacks and hit back hard with Double Edge. Hyoda also set Stealth Rock on the field to punish any switching. In the midst of the fight, Elekid was hit by a binding attack. Its static activated, and it became paralyzed. Seeing this, Shinji withdrew Elekid and brought out Chimchar. Chimchar immediately took damage from the Stealth Rock entry hazard, but pressed the attack with Dig, striking from below and eventually wearing Onix down. Hyoda's final Pokemon was the fossil Cranidos. Shinji tried to use Dig again, but Cranidos read the tactic and slammed Chimchar with repeated Zen headbutts, knocking the little fire monkey around. Chimchar's blaze flared, allowing it to power up and charge in with Flame Wheel, connecting with Cranidos' knee, but Cranidos was relentless and managed to knock Chimchar out as it tried to dig again. Elekid returned to the field for the final clash. It narrowly avoided a savage hit from Cranidos and countered with a decisive Brick Break that badly injured Cranidos' leg, throwing its balance off. With Cranidos hampered, its normally devastating Zen headbutts were weakened, and Elekid was able to land the finishing blow. It was a close battle. Shinji had earned the Coal Badge, but by a hair, and his Elekid was close to collapsing. Watching Shinji's narrow path to victory, Ash realized many of Hyoda's rock-type Pokemon relied more on physical power than on a wide array of rock-type techniques. After the match, Hyoda looked apologetic. Ash, I'm sorry, but could we postpone our match until tomorrow? Cranidos and the others will need a day to recover. Ash nodded. No problem. To be continued. Chapter 217, The Battle Begins. Coal Badge. The next day, on the Steel Gym battlefield, Ash's first official gym match finally began. Now starting, the gym match between challenger Ash and gym leader Hyota. Each trainer may use 3 Pokémon. The match ends when one side has no Pokémon able to battle. In addition, only the challenger may switch Pokémon. Go Ash, you've got this. Xiaoguang had gone all out. Dressed in a cheerleader outfit, he'd formed a little cheering squad with Piplup and Buniri and was pumping up the crowd. Thanks, Xiaoguang, Ash said with a smile. Shinji was here too, sitting quietly in the back row behind Xiaogang and Xiaoguang. Onyx, go, Hyota called. Lapras, I choose you, Ash replied. Onyx, use double edge, Hyota barked. Relying on Sturdy, Onyx slammed into Lapras with double edge, but Lapras retaliated with Surf. A massive wall of water rose and slammed into Onyx. Water was devastatingly effective against rock ground, and if not for double edge soaking some damage, one hit might have been enough to knock Onyx out. Hydro Pump, Ash shouted. Lapras unleashed a colossal Hydro Pump. Hyota grit his teeth. Use Stealth Rock. Even as Hydro Pump struck, Onyx managed to set Stealth Rock, scattering sharp stones around the field before the wave finished it off. Onyx fell, and tiny fragments of the entry hazard shattered around the arena. Lapras took Onyx down in 2 moves, Xiaoguang exclaimed. Xiaogang smiled and explained, Lapras is strong, and water moves are 4 times effective against Onyx. Shinji watched Lapras report back to Ash with a serious expression. Clearly, Ash's team was no pushover. Hyota met Ash's eyes. I underestimated you, Ash. He tossed out another Pokeball. Graveler, go! Graveler rolled out, bigger and more threatening than a Geodude, but Lapras's power was already showing. Ash recalled Lapras and sent out Turtwig. Turtwig, I choose you. Stealth Rock fragments hit the field as Turtwig appeared, but its defense held. Leech Seed, Ash called. Turtwig spat a glowing seed that latched onto Graveler and began draining its energy. Turtwig's wounds slowly healed. Hyota didn't hesitate. Roll out. Graveler wrapped itself in a rolling boulder and barreled toward Turtwig. Energy Ball, Ash ordered. Turtwig formed a green sphere of energy and slammed into the rolling rock. The collision exploded in a cloud of dust and debris, but Graveler burst through the smoke and sent Turtwig crashing. Turtwig, are you all right? Ash shouted. Turtwig staggered to its feet and Ash kept it fighting. Absorb. Between Absorb and Leech Seed, Graveler's energy drain slammed into it. Graveler howled, weakened, while Turtwig slowly recovered. Again, roll out! Hyota shouted. Graveler's rolling assault built momentum and strength. Solar energy began to gather in Turtwig. Synthesis, then tackle, Ash barked. Synthesis bathed Turtwig in restorative light as it charged. Leech Seed continued to sap Graveler's strength, and the power behind its rollout started to weaken. Now, Energy Ball, Ash shouted. The Energy Ball detonated right in Graveler's path. With no defense to stop the blast, Graveler was blown away and could no longer battle. Turtwig, winded and bruised, tumbled back to Ash. Without Leech Seed and Synthesis, it would have been finished long ago. Great job, Turtwig, Ash praised, recalling it. It had given everything it had. Hyota sent out his final Pokémon, their ace. Cranidos, go. Ash, Ursaring, I choose you. Ash responded, releasing his last Pokémon. Ursaring charged into the arena and immediately used Bulk Up. When Stealth Rock flew at it, the bear shrugged them off, its newly hardened muscles knocking the shards aside. Ursaring fixed a fierce glare on Cranidos and roared. Cranidos didn't back down. Instead, a blue-white surge flared around its body as it evolved into the towering Rampardos. It grew taller and more imposing, still smaller than Ursaring, but impressive in bulk. Rampardos, use Zen Headbutt, Hyota ordered. Arm Thrust, Ash answered. Rampardos lowered its head and slammed forward. Ursaring met it with a flurry of arm thrusts. The two were evenly matched, but Ursaring still had another trick. Shadow Claw. A ghostly claw formed on Ursaring's left paw, the shadow claw it had been practicing, and with that strike, Rampardos was sent flying. Are you okay? Hyota called, worried, as Rampardos shook itself and got back up. Flamethrower now! Swords dance! Ash countered. Ursaring roared, and spectral swords spun around it, bolstering its attack. The incoming flames slashed through the air, but didn't stop the boost. The sudden jump in Ursaring's power caught everyone by surprise. Full power, arm thrust, Ash shouted. With its attack raised 3 times, Ursaring's arm thrust struck with devastating force. Hyota had to respond. Rampardos, meet it with double edge. Rampardos braced and collided head-on with Ursaring. The impact was brutal. Ursaring roared, driving its strength into a final crushing blow, and Rampardos was defeated. Ursaring pounded its chest in victory. The announcer declared, Rampardos is unable to battle. Ursaring wins. The winner is challenger Ash of Pallet Town. Shinji rose and left quietly as the outcome was confirmed. Xiaoguang erupted in cheers, and Xiaogang nodded approvingly. Ash had earned his first Sinnoh badge, the Coal Badge. To be continued. Chapter 218, The Raging Fossil Pokémon, Cranidos. After winning the Coal Badge, Xiaozhi's group didn't leave Steel City right away. Hyoda, the gym leader, invited them to the Steel Mining Museum. Today was the day he planned to revive the skull fossil into a living Cranidos. Ash and the others happily accepted. After handing their recently battled Pokémon over to Nurse Joy for care, they arrived at the museum in high spirits. Wow, the Steel Mining Museum. Xiaoguang breathed, craning his neck at the displays, a Kabutops fossil skeleton and other prehistoric exhibits. Then someone shouted, "Ah! What is that?" Everyone looked up. Looming over the museum grounds was a vast mound of coal, black and glossy in the light. Hyoda smiled. That's the pride of the steel mines. It was dug out through the combined efforts of humans and Pokémon. So cool! Xiaogang and Xiaoguang exclaimed. Hyoda led them toward the research building. The fossil revival machine is in the research building across the way. Come on. When they reached the lab, a researcher barreled out, breathless. Hyoda, this is bad. The fossil revival machine's gone. The Cranidos you were reviving is gone too. What? Hyoda's face went pale. He left the others and sprinted for the lab. Ash and the rest followed close behind. Inside, in place of the revival machine, there was only a huge pit in the floor. What happened here? Hyoda demanded, pointing at the hole. The researchers exchanged helpless looks. Maybe I can help, Ash said. Hyoda grabbed his shoulder, eyes bright with desperate hope. Ash nodded, released a Pokeball, and Growlithe appeared, sniffing the air. Growlithe, lead the way, Ash ordered. Growlithe bolted from the Yamako Research Institute, the group at its heels. The trail led into a nearby forest, and there, hidden among the trees, they found the stolen machine and the thieves, the Team Rocket trio. Oh no, they found us! Team Rocket panicked and sent out 4 Pokémon, Cacnea, Carnivine, Seviper, and Dustox. Give the revival machine back, you thieves! Hyoda shouted, reaching for Rampardos, then stopping when he remembered the rest of his team were with Nurse Joy. Leave it to us, Ash's friends chimed. Go Piplup, Sudowoodo, Ash called. Eevee hopped down from Ash's shoulder, eager to help. Pikachu crackled with energy and stepped forward too. Cacnea, Pin Missile, Carnivine, use Bullet Seed, Team Rocket ordered. Seviper, Sludge Bomb, Dustox, Psybeam, they cried. The 4 Pokémon unleashed a coordinated attack. Piplup and Sudowoodo moved to intercept, while Growlithe charged in. Sudowoodo copied Dustox's Psybeam with Mimic, turning the beam back on Team Rocket's side. Eevee and Piplup joined in. Pikachu fired a Thunderbolt. Growlithe used Flame Wheel to break through the ranks. The attacks struck in unison. Overwhelmed by their own reflected and combined moves, Team Rocket's 4 Pokémon were quickly defeated. Jessie shouted and fumbled, sending out Wobbuffet in a last-ditch effort, but it was too late. The trio Musashi, Kojiro, and Nyasu screamed as their plan collapsed and fled before the reinforcements could arrive. Everyone exhaled in relief. Then, without warning, the dormant revival machine in the clearing lurched and powered up. With a rumbling roar, it ejected a living Pokémon, Cranidos, who charged out of the machine in a flurry of dust. It was revived, Xiaoguang cried, pointing at the dinosaur-like Pokémon. Cranidos roared and charged straight toward Ash and the group, still disoriented and wild. It's just been revived. It hasn't adapted to its surroundings yet, Hyoda called out. And this one is even wilder than mine. It's larger, too. Growlithe, Flame Wheel, Ash ordered. Growlithe burst into a spinning wheel of fire and collided head-on with Cranidos. Cranidos answered with full-force ramming attacks. Growlithe began to take the hit. Don't give up, Ash encouraged. Growlithe's flames flared hotter. The blaze intensified into a torrent, burning across Cranidos' hide. Hyoda watched, surprised. That's Flare Blitz. It learned a new move? Ash grinned as Growlithe's flames sharpened. Finish it! Flare Blitz! Growlithe charged, ignited in a searing blaze, and slammed Cranidos back. The hit sent Cranidos tumbling, its body scorched and marked with burn injuries. Ash stepped forward and timidly extended his hand. Be careful, Hyoda warned. Cranidos bared its teeth, wary and distrustful, but Ash knelt and activated the Changpan power. At once, the wary, raging Cranidos seemed to calm. Ash placed his hand on its head and poured Changpan power into its body. Its burns began to close and its breathing steadied. "Welcome to our era," Ash whispered. "That's amazing," Xiaoguang said in awe. Ash actually calmed a rampaging Cranidos. "Could that really be the Changpan power?" Hyoda asked, disbelief and hope in his voice. "It's true," Xiaogang said. "Ash is the child of Rewritten, the one the Changpan forest recognizes." Hyoda's eyes lit up. Looking at the now quiet Cranidos, he made a quick decision. "Ash, I have a favor to ask." "What is it?" Ash asked. "I want you to catch this Cranidos and train it," Hyoda said seriously. "But there's one condition. I want you to use it to challenge and defeat the Suimai gym leader." "No problem," Ash replied immediately. He hadn't forgotten his promise. "Ash, will you travel with me?" he asked gently to Cranidos. The Pokémon, guided by the laws of the wild and having been overcome in battle, seemed to accept Ash's leadership. Ash threw a Pokeball, and to keep it from being whisked away, he used Lock-On to prevent it from escaping during the capture. The ball clicked shut. "That's great, Ash!" Xiaogang and Xiaoguang stepped forward to congratulate him. Ash turned to Hyoda, gratitude on his face. "Thank you, Hyoda," he said. Hyoda waved him off with a smile. "It recognized you. Train it well." "Will do." To be continued. Chapter 219. Double Evolution. Sinnoh's electric squirrel gently rotated his Tiok, a strength, superior late stage. Moves, headbutt, ancient power, takedown, crunch. Ash had successfully caught the newly hatched Cranidos. After returning to the Pokémon Center, he quickly rotated his team and let Nurse Joy examine the new addition. Ash's Sinnoh team now read Pikachu, Eevee, Growlithe, Cranidos, Shelgon, Electabuzz, Marshadow, Lucario. It was a big reshuffle. All of Ash's Sinnoh Pokémon, except Cranidos, were sent back to the island. Electabuzz was almost ready to evolve, so Ash equipped it with an Electorizer before sending it along. "Ash, let's head to Floaroma Town next. There's a gorgeous competition coming up," Xiaoguang said excitedly. Xiaogang added, "From Floaroma Town we can also reach Baida Gym." "That sounds good," Ash nodded, "but I won't be entering the gorgeous competition. I already sent Ipom and Swablu back to the island so the previous contest champions can give them some special training. Especially Swablu. With Jigglypuff's vocal training, it would have a real edge in a gorgeous competition." "Ah." Xiaoguang sounded disappointed that Ash wouldn't compete. "In that case, I'll do my best and win the ribbon for both of us," Ash smiled. "I'll leave it to you. Next, let's finish these two evolutions." "Evolution?" Xiaogang and Xiaoguang leaned in, curious about the Pokeballs in Ash's hands. "First one." Ash sent out a Pokeball. Growlithe sprang forth. He didn't hesitate. He pressed a top-grade Firestone to Growlithe's forehead. Woof! Growlithe's form swelled as the blue light of evolution erupted. When it cleared, a majestic Arcanine stood where Growlithe had been. Evolution complete. Strength, Gym Leader early stage. Moves extreme speed reversal. Next, Ash tossed the second Pokeball. Electabuzz appeared and immediately burst into a halo of light. It evolved, landing heavily on the ground. An Electivire larger even than the one Gary had once used stood before them. Electabuzz, Gym Leader early stage. Moves Iron Tail, Wild Charge. The next day, Ash picked up Cranidos from Nurse Joy, and with Xiaogang and Xiaoguang, left Steel City for Floaroma Town. Along the way, they rested in a clearing to reorganize. After Ash divvied up tasks for his Pokémon, he noticed Xiaogang sipping tea and watching Xiaoguang intently. "What's up, Xiaogang?" Ash asked. Xiaogang pointed to a small white figure near where Xiaoguang was squatting. "She's been staring at that wild Pokémon for ages. I'd say there's an 80% chance she wants to catch it." Ash peered closer. It was Sinnoh's electric squirrel, Pachirisu, a tiny white rodent in the same electric rodent family as Pikachu. Pachirisu was nicknamed the White Demon, ranked by some alongside Jigglypuff's Pink Demon. Then Xiaoguang snapped. "I can't resist, it's too cute. I'm catching it. Go Piplup." Ash hit a sigh. Piplup, a water type, didn't know any obvious counters to an electric type, and sending it out was risky. Piplup opened its beak and sent a white beam toward Pachirisu. Instead of being harmed, Pachirisu blew a little kiss. A pink heart flew out and struck Piplup, leaving it confused and dazed. Ah! Seriously! Xiaoguang hastily recalled Piplup. Okay, your turn. Buniri, dizzy punch. Buniri sprang out and swung its ear punches, but Pachirisu nimbly dodged and then zipped in with a quick attack, knocking Buniri off its feet. Buniri shook it off, but Pachirisu's blue sparks began to crackle and then surged into a full-area discharge, electricity arcing across the clearing. The bolt slammed into Ash and Xiao Gang, forcing them to leap back and squint through the light. Electivire, with motor drive, shot out from Ash's side. It absorbed the barrage of electricity, its body humming as it took the shock in. Now's our chance, Ash called. Pachirisu, having used a lot of energy on that discharge, was panting and staggered. Xiaoguang threw her Pokeball with shaking hands. The ball hit Pachirisu and swallowed it. It shook once, twice, 3 times. Pop! Capture successful. Xiaoguang scooped up the ball and beamed. I caught Pachirisu. Me! As Xiaoguang's new partner, Pachirisu quickly wormed its way into her heart. She doted on it, even holding it as she slept. One morning, a small commotion erupted. Pachirisu bolted out of Xiaoguang's tent, and the flustered girl, along with Piplup and Buniri, chased after it. Pachirisu was a bundle of energy, causing mischief from dawn till dusk. Watching Xiaoguang with her hair standing on end, Ash and Xiaogang couldn't help laughing. Xiaoguang puffed up and scowled. What are you laughing at? Help me catch Pachirisu. All right. Ash sent out Electivire to cut off Pachirisu's path. The little squirrel didn't see Electivire and ran smack into it, tumbling and ending up on the ground. Electivire gently grabbed its tiny tail and scooped it up. Pachirisu wriggled and shocked lightly in protest, but it was no match for Electivire. If anything, the big electric type seemed to enjoy the tingly massage. Electivire carried Pachirisu back to Xiaoguang. Ash grinned. Here, you're Pachirisu. Xiaoguang peered at the small Pokemon and fretted. Ash, does Pachirisu not like me? Should I? Ash tapped her forehead. What are you talking about? Pachirisu's just energetic. If you don't believe me, try asking it. Okay. Xiaoguang rubbed her head and looked at Pachirisu hopefully. Ash nodded to Electivire. Electivire set Pachirisu down on her shoulder. The little squirrel leaned in and nuzzled against Xiaoguang's cheek. Pachirisu? Xiaoguang hugged it close, smiling from ear to ear. To be continued.